I mean, lots of dumb League fanboys don't know jack about Heroes of Newerth. You know? Heroes of Newerth straight up inspired mechanics that are now used in Dota 2. Defenders of the Ancients 2. But, you know. It is just how it is, right? And the whole meme. I never grew up with cartridge games, so I don't have any nostalgia for that. I have nostalgia for tapes, so I get it. But without fail? I mean, I lost my all-in, and I'm quite sad. I mean, I guess dumb as a catch-all phase from spewing shit-talking Xbox Live-esque ragers. Yeah, I mean... There's a lot of shitty people on the internet for sure, but there's just a lot of shitty people in general, and I don't think you necessarily. And saying an entire subsection of a fan base is dumb isn't giving people enough credit. You know, like I would say that there is a portion of the RimWorld community that I fucking hate because the only things they care about are. Like, there's somebody who used to hang around the stream a whole lot, who I more or less told to just leave because I was tired of listening to him. And he would just come into the chat, and all he would do is talk about all of the people that he was cannibalizing and forcing to have children with his colonists in RimWorld. And it was fucking disgusting. Like, literally, all he'd do is the cannibal crowd. Yeah, it's like the weird offshoot of the IT crowd. And he would literally just sit in my chat and talk about how much he loved watching his colonists rape and murder each other. And I eventually was just like, hey, you need to not watch that. I also probably would. And I'm just like, you know, if this is just a place for you to like distribute your strange fantasies, I'd prefer you stopped watching this channel. And the dude gave me like $150 a month in bits. And it's like, yeah, you're about in time. Cool. Hey, cool. How's things? How's destroying the world? Still slow, I assume. Cast, but they're all. It's just a Halloween episode of the IT crowd. That was never aired. The Oracular Domain, year 266. What did we name this fortress? Trifle something. Because, okay, so TLDR. We had a fortress, right, in this world. And it was getting laggy, and I was running into some bugs. So we eventually kind of just said, yep, screw it. And so we made a new fortress, right? That fortress lasted for 2 streams in the community world. And then bad happened, fun happened, and fortress went bye-bye. R.I.P. Trifle Killer. Then we resettled. And this is one of the most badass embarks I've done in a long time. So check this place out, right? We've got this little upper wall, right? Which is kind of hanging over the edge of this cliff. And there's a little waterfall up there at the top left. Goes all the way down to this gigantic gorge canyon through an aquifer, and it's absolutely beautiful. On this level, we have our kitchens and farms. It's all black sand, so there's going to be... yeah, it's a giant river ravine. Yes. We have a whole bunch of black sand, so glass is a possibility. And down here, we have most of our stockpiles, our food. We're working on getting all the stone removed and all the people. And then if I go a few layers down, we have this kind of little area that we're digging out that I'm, you know, mining more stuff and looking for ore. And then that's as far down as we've gone. It really is a tearjerker. It's so beautiful. It's even full of giant sponges. Is a huge immobile red sponge. I said with the people, but yes. Give everyone nice balconies. I mean, I need to start working on that. I'm thinking we'll go like... The problem that I have, though, is like if I dig straight into this wall, we're going to get flooded, right? If I go up here, if I go up 1, it's an aquifer. If I go up 2, it's an aquifer. And if I go up 3, it's an aquifer. And if I go up to here, then we'll just be digging into sand. And I don't really want to give them bedrooms that are all sand. So I'll probably go like over on this side of this big ravine and like hollow the whole edge bit off, but it turns into sand over there anyway. A giant sponge stands up and I throw a rock at it. How you doing? Vin, it's good to see you. So this fortress, unlike the Millennium Long Death Fort, this is a much more traditional fortress. The current dwarf cap is set to 140. We'll bump that up to 200, but I just want it to be 140 right now so we don't get swamped. We currently have 14 citizens. The named dwarves are Rhinestone, Kibbs, Quatch, Brahms Arch, Cyrilak Magna, Marty Party, Balinor Metroid, and Axon. The goal of this fortress is... Sand bedrooms do equal better than no bedrooms, yeah, but like... I have to give everybody floors and everything. So we'll do bedrooms. I'm just going to do them in stone. So this world, the Oracular Domain, our community world. This fortress is a little bit further north than the previous forts we've done. The previous forts we've had here are the still alive, happy and well Crypt Abbey, which now has a population of 400 dwarves. A little bit further north up here, we have the... where was it exactly? Is it this? Nope, that's Gray Machines. Where was the other fort? Anybody remember? This one? Driven shoot. Somebody already re-embark on it? I can't remember where that fortress was. I'm trying to remember where Trifle Killer was. Because we're trying to invade Diverth. That's wire scripted. Was it underneath another fort? I can't actually remember where Trifle Killer was. This is awkward. Like, I'm wondering now if it got, Huh. Wait, was that it? No, that's copper rubbled. Yeah, maybe it was it possibly so close to one of these that, like, it just appears to be underneath it? Huh. I'm actually curious. Is there still a Cobalt Castle up here? Yes! Jibbits! Still has the castle of Match Catch. Good job, humans, for giving that one up. Oh, lovable bastards. I'm just happy there's still some of them around. Frankly. I'm impressed. Like, the fact that kobolds were able to successfully take over a castle, that's beautiful. Granted, I think it was actually just an undefended monastery and they just fucking moved in. Good on them, frankly. But yeah, pour one out for Trifle Killer, which died too young. And I can't even find it on the map anymore. But regardless, we now live in the desert of Culminating, in the fortress of Trifle Forces, in the Dunes of Charcoal, which is a very fitting name, considering it's a black sand desert. In the Vessel of Artifice. It was wiped off the map. Must have been, yeah. So, we need to make bedrooms for these dwarfs. We also need to kind of expand on this area that we're digging in. But I do have 3 unnamed dwarves. There will be lots of dwarves, so there is no concern about getting in necessarily early. But if you would like a dwarf, you can tell me now, and we can get you dwarfed. Also, hey, Fog. Thanks for the channel points towards that glorious goal of making me fuck off for a day. Do a night? Good to hear you. Thanks, B-Lug and Hobo. You'll take a dwarf? Would you prefer a stonecrafter, fishery worker, or soap maker? Just checking. I do have one lady, so you can have the fishery worker if you'd like it, Ara. So Flippercraft will take stoneworker and Ara will take the fishery worker. Occupation to be a stoner. I mean, they're all alcoholics. Chuffed. I don't know what chuffed means, but I'm assuming that's good. Yeah, I'm very happy with how everything came out, considering like we kind of threw it together at last minute. Like, and I'm glad that you enjoyed the actual show itself. And Ara can have the fishery dwarf, and Clayton will take what's left. You'll get the farmer then. So Flipper feels so good. He feels euphoric due to inebriation and satisfied at work. Interested after watching a performance, but was dejected after wearing old clothing. We'll need to work on that problem. He's 147 years old, born on the 4th of Timber in the year 119. He is a former member of the Dunes. He's a member of the Dunes of Charcoal and a former member of the Frosty Pages. Also was a former member of the Gem of Winters and a former member of the Confident Knives. You've been in a lot of places, you busy dwarf. Very high-pitched voice, long sideburns that are neatly combed, and a long mustache arranged in double braids. His long beard is slightly convex. Wait, his long beard is arranged in double braids. That's what I was looking for. His nose bridge is slightly convex, and his small-lobed ears are narrow. His eyelashes are extremely long, and his lips are very thin. He's a great sense of empathy and good analytical abilities, and like slate and Laputer and Squirrel, and cabochons and maces and millstones and giant hedgehogs for their many spines. Personally, is affronted by the whole notion of maintaining decorum, and finds so-called dignified people disgusting. Completely impervious to the effects of stress, and almost is never discouraged. He can easily fall in love and develops positive feelings, and he's happy, and he is rarely happy or enthusiastic. He is conflicted by this as he values parties and merrymaking as an abstract concept. He tends to hang on to grievances and doesn't often feel envious of others. He has an active sense of humor and tends to share his own experiences and thoughts with others. Seems like a nice guy, you know? Active sense of humor due to wearing old clothing, like he just makes jokes out of things. He struggles against this tendency as he finds such expression offensive. And he likes a little excitement now and again. He repeatedly clicks his tongue when he's nervous and needs alcohol to get through the working day. Focused with satisfied needs. Until the last part. Which last part? Beard is convex. I mean, it was to be expected. And you're going to join the Shades of Roughness, not to be confused with the 50 Shades of Roughness, which is our military squad. The fishery worker is going to be Ara. Let's just make sure I'm spelling those right. A-U-R-A. A-U-R-A. And she saw a performance of You Sang Verse at the Laborious Nut. And it is satisfying or interesting. By the way, I named our tavern the Laborious Nut. Yeah, we're not changing that. There's no discussion there. We're keeping it the Laborious Nut. I generated 3 different names and that one came up, but I laughed, so we're keeping it. We're the Laborious Nut. Also, you felt glum after getting into an argument. 35 years old, born on the 23rd of Felsite in the year 231. Her hair is straight and her very long hair is neatly combed. She has a narrow chin, and her head is extraordinarily broad. Her raw umber eyes are close set, and she is average in size. There we go. I was reading that as averse in size. I was like, what the hell does that mean? Her eyebrows are extremely short, and her ears are somewhat narrow. Her hair is cinnamon, and her skin is raw umber. Whenever I read the word salami, I have to just say gorlami. For whatever reason. It's just the first thing that pops in my head is gorlami, 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 gorlami. Ara likes malachite, sterling silver, praise opal, picks, and toy axes, and char for their coloration. The words of the vermilion truth, and the sound of the embased periwinkle, and the sight of the mauve butterfly, and prefers to consume kestrel, whip wine, and one-humped camel's milk. And water and winter melons, and absolutely hates cave spiders. She never feels hatred towards anyone or anything. lives at a slow-going and leisurely pace, and relies on the advice of others during decision-making, and doesn't tend to hold on to grievances. She is brave in the face of imminent danger, and she's going to join the military whether she likes it or not. She tends to assume the worst of two outcomes will be the one that comes to pass. And she is swayed by the emotions of others. She can easily fall in love and develops positive feelings, and she is stubborn, often feels envious of others, and has a greedy streak, needs alcohol to get through the working day, and is somewhat focused with satisfied needs. And you are married, but he doesn't live here, so you have some friends. And for a second there, I read your deity is Magna, and I was like, holy shit, no, your deity is Dur, Roston Laughs of the Vessel of Artifice, is associated with war and fortresses, a very dwarfy dwarf's god. All right, and the final one for today is Clayton. Also witnessed the performance of you sang verse at the Laborious Nut and wasn't particularly interested. Unfortunate. Doesn't feel anything after watching performance. 45 years old, born on the 1st of Moonstone in the year 221. His hair is extremely long, and his raw umber eyes are narrow, and his ears are somewhat short. His hair is cinnamon, and his skin is raw umber. Where the fuck is your beard, dwarf? What's wrong with you? Disgusting. I mean, you're worshiping dwarven gods. Ah, there you go. Titan of the Aquamarine Mines. Deity of the Brushed Tongs, a human civilization. Were you raised by humans? He is euphoric due to inebriation, so he's not dangerous. Former member of the Spears of Singing, and a former member of the Walled Faith, and a former member of the Domination of Fierceness. Does anybody happen to have the legends open for this world? I'd like to know where this person came from. Not a human. It is a dwarf. Is a dwarf. But obviously wasn't raised in dwarven culture. Likes mica, bronze, and fortification ogate, alpaca wool, and the words of the amethyst of rocks, and the sound of the beige lances. When possible, prefers to consume floating guts, beet plants, beet plants, pomegranate wine, two-humped camel's milk, and foxtail mullet flour. Absolutely distastes purring maggots. Can't fucking stand the things. They're disgusting. Personally values family and dreams of crafting a masterwork someday. Likes to present himself boldly, even if it would offend the average sense of modesty. So you're that guy that walks into the tavern wearing nothing but a morning coat with the belt untied and is like, what's up, everybody? And everyone's like, oh, God, put that thing away. Or grow a beard so we can't see it. Would offend the average sense of modesty, rarely moved by curiosity, generally finds himself to be quite hopeful about the future, doesn't focus on material goods, and is quick to anger, does not go out of his way to help others, and doesn't experience strong cravings or urges, thinks he is fairly important in the grand scheme of things, and tends to share his own experiences and thoughts with others. He can handle stress and often feels discouraged. His voice trails off whenever he tries to remember something, and overall, he's somewhat focused with satisfied needs. You seem like a bit of a twit, but yeah, boat submerged. Boat submerged. Moses boat submerged, indeed. Now, I have a squad named the Shades of Roughness, but Clayton, your dwarf seems like a bit of a self-centered twit, so we're gonna give you your own squad. And I have a question, Clayton. If you were to name a military squad of soon-to-be dwarves, currently just you, what would you name them? But currently it is just you. A Menestubs veteran, of course. Many great battles have been fought in the fortress of Menestubs. Thousands and thousands of lives lost. Coffin corpse visitors? What in the fuck is a coffin corpse visitor? Coffin corpse, is that like a Cannibal Corpse cover band? Are they showing up as night creatures? They may be, that might be the name for a weird experiment. I mean, that's got nothing to do with LNP. The Moist Rocks? You twit. The Moist... That's actually a very dwarfy name, though. Rocks. Because moist is a word in DF. It's highly likely that they would generate that themselves. All right. So, priority numero uno. We need to get the military up and running. The goal of this fortress, for those of you uninitiated, is to reclaim and retake what was once ours, in this case, the Goblin Fortress of Dive Earth, of the unnameable amazements of the Nightmare of Coiling, captained by the one and only Bobette, the giant, noseless skunk monster, fiend demon from the Underrealms, that took over that fortress in the year was it 210 or one? Was it like 214 or 114? Actually, can't remember. One of the two. That's the goal. Buried corpse? Probably necromancer undead. Probably what would it be? So we're gonna get those up and running. We got mechanics up and running. What time of year is it? Late winter? We have no weapons yet. We haven't hit any kind of metal yet. How far down have we gone? Right, yes. So we're digging out this area down here to kind of try and find metal, which, you know, maybe we'll be lucky enough to find. I want to say that this area is shallow and deep metals, but it might also just be deep metals. I actually can't quite remember. I want to say it's both, but it's a sparse map, so it's going to take a while to find stuff for kind of regardless. So we're just going to do a little bit of digging, shall we? Which is fine. It'll help train up the dwarves to be a little bit stronger. But yeah, no, they're probably generally intelligent undead get a name given to them by their creator, or the person who res them. So it's probably a necromancer experiment's name. So there's probably many creatures out there with that name associated with them. Rescreen life? Oh my god, I'm so jelly, sir. Meditate on death. How comfy. Hey, man, you know, they're just trying to chill, right? Like, there's so much prejudice against the undead. They're just undead. You know, how do you think they feel around so many weird living creatures? It's kind of disgusting, really. Like, so fleshy and, like, alive. Like, gross. Have some feelings, man. But he was opposed to life. I mean, many creatures are opposed to life, and that's why they're dead. Kind of just mostly looking for gems. Let's get all these gems cut out. The act of finding ore might be a challenge. So we haven't gone down that far yet, but we are going to dig down to cavern layers in this map. So. Yeah, Twitch directories are weird today. Happy Saturday, Jelly. Those things. That's bizarre. Why'd the bloke shave his beard? Maybe it's like a family thing. Does he have any, like, good friends that are human, maybe? I don't know why a dwarf would shave their beard for a human, but Perhaps there's something to do with that. It is absolutely shameful, yeah. It's a shameful display, one could say. $50K. God damn. That's like more than 40K. Like, you're beyond Warhammer in running skills. You realize that, right? I got to walk halfway across town this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was about a 30-minute walk to go get a blood test done. And got back at about 10 after 8. I left the house at about 5:15. Got there at about 5:45. And my knees hurt so bad by the time I got back, I basically just had to, like, sit down on the floor. It's just... feel like an old fucking man. Yeah, we have a dwarf with no beard. Clayton, militia captain. He is a male dwarf with no beard. His hair is extremely long. His raw umber eyes are narrow. His ears are somewhat short, and his hair is cinnamon, and his skin is raw umber. He has no beard. By default, all female dwarves have no beards. If you want to channel your inner Pratchett, you can change one line of text in the text files in the game and give everybody beards. But I haven't done that because, I don't know. I've always imagined female dwarves without beards. It breaks my mental continuity. Is he a dire? No. And I hope he's not known as the Beardless Baron because I don't aim to recreate Krugsmash stories. So, no. Maybe a great general, but I will never give him the title Beardless. Well, it's more like a fashion statement than a stereotype. You know, dwarves use their beards for many things. Like, how can you fish without a beard? That would be for a human, like cutting your toes off. So did I make nest boxes? Yes, I did. Did I place them? That is the question. Doesn't look like it. So let's place some nest boxes. Usually it means that they were raised in some sort of human culture. But in this case, this dwarf is not. That's not the key combo I wanted to hit. Pen. No. That one. Oh, I do have them penned up somewhere, but I'm going to move them from wherever they're at up to here. And Menistub's bedroom? Perhaps our dwarf friend here shaved their beard in a sign of solidarity to their human friend. It's possible. I could see that happening. Perhaps that's what it was. You know, and many strange, shameful, in quotes, things happen in wartime. Maybe it was a bet with somebody, perhaps. I could see a dwarf betting that. By a few, you mean two? Literally a few. Kind of want to put a little bit more space up here. Not even sure what you said, Squire. In 2020, though, is it really okay to say anything? You did it to be bold? Go against the grain? Yeah, but like mechanically it's an oddity, right? You know, like Dwarf Fortress is a game about systems, right? And so when something shows up that changes the system, it's weird, right? So it usually means that, okay, something isn't right, or something weird happened to that dwarf that would make them show up like this. You know, like, I don't see any signs of scars, but maybe they got burned real bad. Because that can happen. Dwarves can get burned real bad and lose parts of their body. Who knows? Just lost in battle and the shock was so grand he never grew a beard back. I mean, who knows? Like, really? All right, we're going to have tons of chickens and eggs. So, Clayton, what brings you back after several years? I'm always fascinated by people returning to the stream after so long. We're up to 111 beer. We haven't found anything of value down here. It's a little annoying. A few more gems. What even are those? Rock crystal, I think? No, they're onyx opals. I mean, those are decently valuable, but, like, not really going to buy us much metal. I need to go deeper, I think. And this is just, what? Marble? Yeah. I mean, it's flux, but it's not what we need right now. Makes you feel so dumb for the RimWorld question? One of my favorite things about this is I have an emote for KEKW that isn't the normal KEKW that people use for. It just says I'm stupid. And I had this person who came into my channel once, and I think this person is like a subscriber to one of my teammates, but pops in and says, I tried playing RimWorld once, or I tried playing Dwarf Fortress once, but it was too complicated and my brain got garbled. So instead, I'm just going to stick to fun games like RimWorld. And then use the KEKW, and it just said, I'm stupid. So basically, it was just like, this game's too hard for me. I'm going to stick to easy games. I'm stupid. It's the heartiest fucking laugh I've had in ages. It was brilliant. It was just too fucking funny. And it was completely unintended, which is what made it so good. I love it. God damn it. I'm a child sometimes, but man, that was fucking funny. It's like, got him. So I have a question. What makes you not want to play Dwarf Fortress? Is it the control scheme? Is it the UX? Is it something that will be fixed by the Steam version? Is it the learning curve? Like, what is it about Dwarf Fortress that makes you uninterested in trying to learn it? We're making bedrooms for our dwarfs. But it's going to take me a second here. Actually, no. We'll be going through a bunch of stockpiles, so let's actually get rid of these. Go a little further down this way. Let's be careful so I don't accidentally designate one of those blue bricks. Otherwise, we'll just get the water flowing in. Learning curve seems rough. It's really not. I think that the learning curve is actually... The learning curve comment about DF is largely false. The game's not hard to learn. It's actually an incredibly simple game to play. The only thing that's difficult about learning how to play Dwarf Fortress is the UX. The actual game itself is extremely simple. Extremely simple. And very, very gimmicky. But that's part of the appeal to me. Is that it's nowhere near as complicated as people make it out to be. That fucking meme that you see all over the internet, which is just like normal video games and it's the learning curve, and then Dwarf Fortress, which is just a cliff with a bunch of fuckers falling off. One of the most fucking popular games on Steam right now is CK3. The Crusader Kings franchise is just as hard to learn. That game has a fucking 2-hour tutorial to play through. Dwarf Fortress has maybe a 4-hour learning curve to learn the basics. And then another, at most, 20 hours to really kind of figure out what you're doing. It's like, lots of people like Craig Smash videos, but like it's nowhere near as bad as people make it out to be. And you don't need all of those mods that people are like, oh, this is mandatory. So like people install the game and then there's like 4 different windows running and like all of these like additions and attachments. It's like, you don't need any of that shit. You really, really don't. Like, it's there if you want it, but like, you really don't need it. And it gives the game this appearance of being impenetrable, when in actual reality, there's a really good picture of an 11-year-old playing this game on the subreddit. Like, it's not complicated. That's again, Clayton, what bothers me is it's like there is a very small learning curve for Dwarf Fortress. It's like if you can play Civilization, you can play Dwarf Fortress. If you can play any colony management game that claims to be like Dwarf Fortress, you can play Dwarf Fortress. If you can play The Sims, you can probably play Dwarf Fortress. It's not a hard game. And the perpetuated, rather vastly incorrect meme of how complicated this game is to get into does nothing but damage this game's reputation, unfortunately. Yes, the UX is complicated. But if you can read, you can play Dwarf Fortress. And you don't need tutorials. You just need the getting started guide on the wiki. That'll help. That's all that you need, is that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And, like, I always come back to this, you know, like, the number of people that I know that have picked up Dwarf Fortress and learned it because of my stream just goes to show, and a number of people that have stated, like, no, it's not that bad once you get, like, a relatively simplistic tile set like this one, or one of the other popular simple tile sets installed, and you just read along with the getting started guide. It's not that bad. So. Truth is, you've lurked from time to time. You've just been very interested in Dwarf Fortress for a while, but never really knew anything about it. Work has been really slow due to COVID, so you have more time to just chill and watch streams. Figured you guys pop in today and start to really get a better idea of how the game works. Gotcha. Well, I hope I can help with that. Well, you're not ignorant. You're just... trying to think of, like, a proper comparison. You're just listening to what everybody says. But the unfortunate thing is, most of the people who will say that, oh, Dwarf Fortress is a learning cliff, have either barely scratched the surface or, like, never really played it. But, like, the difference between Dwarf Fortress and, let's just say, Crusader Kings, or any Paradox game for that matter, is... Let me just show you something real quick. Bay12games.com, where you download Dwarf Fortress. You see this. And I know, like, most people who play Dwarf Fortress will be like, oh, you know, you just download the... You click that button and you download the game. It's not entirely clear how you download it from here. But you click that button, right? And then there's this ever-scrolling, endless log of updates, right? Which will scare a lot of people away, and that's very true. Now, if I go to Steam, I'll run another window over here and open it up in my web browser and type in Crusader Kings 3, right? This game is just as complex, just as hard to learn, and just as difficult. But instead of seeing whatever the fuck this is supposed to be, you see this. A game that costs $50 that clearly a lot of people play and enjoy. So you have this proof already that there's 14,000 people saying, yeah, it good. Basically, well, 92% of those 14,000 people are saying, yeah, it good. Versus here, what do you have? And, you know, 20 years ago, that's all you needed, right? A web page and a link to download the damn thing. It doesn't work that way anymore. You know? Also, it's a free game. So there's nothing lost if you download it, unzip it, don't actually set it up properly, open up the default exe, and get the weird resolution that the game defaults to, which is weird. It's like 360 by 4 something. And you can't figure out how to exit the game or generate a world, get frustrated, and delete the thing because you didn't spend any money on it. It's free. Free games are brilliant. They really are. You can distribute it to a lot of people that wouldn't normally get to play it. But the problem with free games is it's free. So if there's no hooks to keep you playing, if there's no reason to keep you playing, there's no sunk cost fallacy, the player immediately deletes the game. I mean, maybe you should. Crusader Kings 3 is a great game. I'm just perpetually annoyed by people who scream that Dwarf Fortress is this impossible learning curve when it's just... RimWorld's harder than Dwarf Fortress. Much harder. Because it's intentionally difficult. Dwarf Fortress isn't hard, it's just obtuse. A lot of people confuse the two terms. I mean, that's just honesty. Ara, that's just honesty. But, you know, at the end of the day, not everybody needs to play Dwarf Fortress. Like, if you're content just watching the game, or even just, like, observing it from a distance, like, it's whatever floats your boat, really. But there are a lot of people that perplex me because they say, oh, I'd love to get into Dwarf Fortress, but I'm waiting for the Steam version. It's like, the Steam version's not going to be any fucking easier. It'll look prettier and have more approachable looking UX. It's just as difficult to learn it. Yeah, but it still doesn't matter, Ocelot, right? Like, Dwarf Fortress is going to kill most people 9 times out of 10 anyway, regardless of what difficulty you play it on. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, regardless of what zone you embark on, that's not relevant to the discussion. The discussion is how difficult is it to learn Dwarf Fortress? And whether or not the learning cliff is accurate. I don't believe it is. You just like a little conversation? And, you know, I will always go back to this. I have no idea how you can't tell what's going on. Little dwarves building a wall, underground, big river next to us. Like, I just look at this and I see dwarves. I see a cat running around top left. A couple workshops in the middle, running around with bricks, constructing a wall. I'm building bedrooms. It's all there. Who's hosting me? Who that? Now I'm curious about who's hosting me. Because Twitch doesn't fucking tell me. Oh, Salat, you and me completely fundamentally disagree on this then, because I don't believe Dwarf Fortress has a learning curve. That is a wall that people hit. Alan Enraged. I have no idea who that is. I don't know who hosts me, I guess. Not like Twitch fucking tells me anyway. Is your wife hitting roaches? Well, I mean, at least no one's getting hurt. Except for the roaches. Good riddance. But no, I completely disagree about the Dwarf Fortress learning cliff fallacy. There are games that are a learning cliff. Dwarf Fortress isn't one of them. No, I found the learning curve. It was the first 4 hours I really put into playing the game. Once you know what you're looking at, you're past the learning cliff. Like, I vehemently, fundamentally disagree with you. I mean, it's better than me last night, Spitalier, where I heard sounds of people fighting. Turns out there was actually people fighting. Generally, what I think when people say it's too complicated is not that I'm lazy. I think that's just being rude to people. What I hear when people say it's too complicated is I haven't really tried yet. No? Why would it be bad to have tons of idlers? What are you trying to do? Min-max Dwarf Fortress? The fuck's wrong with you? It's not bad at all. Generally, it just means they're on their way to a job or on their way to go socialize or relax, and dwarves need to do that. If everybody's working 24/7, half of them will go nuts. You know, think about it this way, right? If you're working 18 hours a day at a full-time job, 7 days a week, how long would you be able to do that before you had a mental breakdown? It's the same for dwarves. They need downtime. They need relaxation time. They need partying and merrymaking. They need a chance to chill out and relax. That's essentially what idlers are. It just means they're not actively doing a job, which is totally fine. But you'll have some people telling you, oh, having large numbers of idlers is bad. Remove all the idlers. It's like, no. You can have lots of idlers. That's totally fine. You know what? I'll build that wall. No, that's a downstair. Like right now I have one idler, right? This is the person who's idling, in quotes. It's Clutch, who literally just finished building a piece of wall for me. Now he's immediately going to go do another thing. He probably would have gone over to the tavern and socialized because he was idling, but he just hadn't started the job of socializing yet, right? So now I have 3 idlers. What are they going to go do? I got one, Kibbs, who just finished building something. So he's heading over this way, probably to then go listen to some poetry. That's fine. Well, here, I'll give Shinny, if this game is so indecipherable, we have boulders, undug out stone. So you're looking at 1 layer of Minecraft blocks at a time, right? These are gems. This is some black sand behind a wall that I've constructed. Because I don't want my dwarves to have sand walls. Who would want walls made of sand? That's just gross. These are some smooth floors over here. Got these little bedrooms that we're digging out. Dwarves can move diagonally, so that is fine right there. These are some workshops. We've got a carpenter shop, crafts dwarf shop, and a mechanics workshop. Up here we have red Ds. Those are puppies. The brown Ds are adult dogs. We got 2 more mason shops up here and a stockpile filled with boulders. And this is all barrels with mugs in them. And this is a stockpile filled with furniture and other various objects that we need. And this is all a water river. We're looking underneath, like into the water. So that's an underwater shot. If I move up a layer, that's the water from above, looking down at the river as it's flowing. If I move up further, you can sort of see the contours of the map as it contorts up to the surface. When they collapse. Walls of sand are scary because I'm just expecting sandworm to come out. This is a dwarf farming. I think a lot of people see ASCII and think, ah, scary! But ASCII is just... Like, imagine you've never seen Civilization before. You've never seen the game Civilization. Okay? And then someone shows you the second to last turn of Civ 6. And every tile has icons on it. And you look at that and you go, what the fuck am I looking at? It's just a mess of icons and things. I don't know what any of these mean. It's kind of like looking at ASCII for the first time. You look at ASCII for the first time, yeah, it's going to be confusing, but every icon has meaning, right? Every dwarf, every little thing moving around, every item, every little person. Like right now, I'm flashing through menus, right? But what I'm actually doing is I'm telling my dwarves to make 20 beds, right? Now, I have a dwarf in this screen who's assigned to the manager position. That's Metroid. Now, Metroid is assigned to a table, wherever Metroid is. Where's Metroid? Oh, there you are. Currently, he's socializing. I don't think he's done it yet. Would kind of suck if he has. Yeah, he's already done it. It's too fast for me. But Metroid, when I typed that in, Metroid then left, went to this table. Actually, no, this table over here. Did some paperwork and came back. That order that I just put through to make 20 beds has now been assigned to my dwarves. And the dwarf who makes stuff as a carpenter, assuming I have one, I should, is now going to go and make me 20 beds. I mean, yeah, the final turns of Civ are terrifying looking. Like, genuinely. Like, it's confusing as fuck. I don't know if... I think someone's got double jobs, so I'll give you carpenter so you can have a side gig. Axon. Oh, never mind. Yeah, he's on it. Perfect. So Axon's gonna go make me beds now. So he's running up to the surface where the wood is. He's gathering up some wood. He's gonna run underground. Run down to where I got my carpenter shop built, and he's gonna make a bed. It's taking him a long time because he's not very good. Let's look at Axon's brain now. He's satisfied at work. He's happy with his job. He's learning a new skill. Go have fun being a carpenter, Dwarf. So it's like, you know, obviously you're never going to understand what's going on in an ASCII fortress the first time you see it. Or even a tile set, like ASCII or tile set. Dwarf Fortress is a complicated game, so it's going to confuse people the first time they see it, of course. But any complicated game with a complicated tile visual style to it, where every tile means something specific, is going to be confusing when you first look at it, right? Like, I understand how Dwarf Fortress works. If I look at somebody's fortress that they've constructed, it's going to be confusing for a couple of minutes. But pretty quickly, I'll pick up kind of on what they're doing and what's what and what everything looks like in their customized version of the game. Or the garbled mess that was out. Yeah, exactly. Alpha Centauri is a beautiful game, but it's a fucking mess if you've never seen it before. Absolutely garbled mess. Got a bunch of... Oh, you're set to stone, like masonry instead of smoothing. Do I have a few other people that are... I mean, see, usually it's just my masons that have that job, but... Eleanor, I don't need fish cleaners, so can you help us distribute stuff? There we go. Get some walls detailed. Excellent. Get those bedrooms done. Make them all nice and pretty. Another thing I'm going to queue up is rock door. 20. Another thing I'm going to queue up is trap. No. Hatch. Yes. Rock. 20. I'm going to go over to these workshops and Cancel both those jobs. I don't need unlimited blocks. Checking the beer stocks. Going well. I mean, if it's wood, it'll burn. Outside of that, not really. Outside of our P reasons. Looks like we got some dwarves dancing. Clayton is singing. Actually, he's chanting. The birth of Canyon is an example of the flowery beige chants. The work has no particular subject for the lyrics, and the composer has selected the factional plan. Overall, the composition is masterful. The flowery beige chants is a form of music composed for entertainment, originating in the immortality of Gloom, a goblin civilization. The rules of the form are applied by composers to produce individual pieces of music, which can be performed by one to two chanters, and they recite nonsensical words and sounds, and the entire performance accelerates as it proceeds. Sounds kind of like throat singing almost, or they're not really saying words, but just kind of like making sounds. The melody is short phrases throughout the form, and only one pitch is ever played at a time. The performance is performed using the Unzi scale and the Tux rhythm. It's a goblin chant. It's like, where's Wally/Waldo if you look at it? You know, it's really funny that you say that, Fog, because I think it was Kibbs and Britches, somebody who's watched the stream for a number of years now, was watching me play this and had like this fucking eureka moment where he realized what everything he was looking at was. I don't think Kibbs has ever played DF, but like, it was about 3 months of me streaming it, and then there was one day where he just pops in and he goes, Blind, I see dwarves. I figured I suddenly see it. I understand what I'm looking at now. What is this madness? It's very funny to me. But yeah, no, I don't think that the Steam version of the game is going to make the game necessarily any more or less decipherable. I mean, I think it'll certainly help some people, but like, everything moves around so fast in Dwarf Fortress, and everything can get so cluttered. The ASCII actually makes things more clear, because I immediately know a cat because it's a small red C, but the small sprite of a cat versus the small sprite of a guinea pig moving at 100 miles an hour through your fortress is gonna be confusing to look at. It's gonna be confusing. It's going to confuse people, and the only reason why I genuinely feel that the Steam version of Dwarf Fortress is going to get a lot more people into the game, the game's telling me right now that sea lampreys are fighting. They're not fighting. They're falling down this fucking waterfall and going splat at the bottom. Anyway, the only reason it's going to help people get into Dwarf Fortress, in my opinion, is because they will have paid $20 for a thing. And once you've paid money for a thing, unless you're one of those assholes on Steam that's like, I played this game for 18 minutes and don't understand, refunded. Unless you're one of those people. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to buy the game and actually put the effort into learning it. You know, just like all of those people that bought CK3, and by the time you're done the tutorial, you can't fucking refund the game anyway, so you're gonna keep playing. You know? And that's kind of the way it's gotta be. Otherwise, like, a lot of people never would get into the game, period. Because it is a complicated game. It is a hard game. But it's nowhere near as hard and complicated as people say it is. It's just as easy to get into as any other game with any kind of learning curve. The big thing that the Dwarf Fortress does differently from, let's just say, I like using the Civ example because everybody's played Civ at some point, is Civilization gives you one thing, and then it gives you two things, and then it gives you four things, and then it gives you 8 things, and then it gives you 2 things, and then it gives you 1 thing, and then it gives you 8 things. And it's a very slow ramp up of stuff. And then by the end of it, you have 18 different menus within menus, and you have like 15 different decisions to make, and it just gives them all to you in a nice list. It's very organized. Dwarf Fortress has about 50 things that you can do, and it gives them all to you right off the bat. Well, actually, there's more than that. But there's a lot of things that you can do, and it's right in that menu right there. Every single option you need for the entire game is right there in that menu, and they're all nicely listed. But where do you start? You hit A, which would be blank at the start. Do you hit B? Probably. All right, what do I need? That's the problem. That's the problem. Also, there's this stupid fucking mini-map, which is here by default, which is completely useless. Nobody uses it. Although the Steam version mini-map looks real nice. Hopefully that's helpful. Ba-da-dum, ba-da-da-dum. Do-do-do. Let's make these bedrooms and assign them. Quatch, you can have a bedroom. Arch, you can have a bedroom. I'm just gonna go alphabetically. Ba-dum, bum-bum. Also, on the topic of Mongolian throat singing, I've been listening to way too much throat singing recently. Migrants arrived, and you're depressed as all hell. Go away. We don't need you here. It's fine. A cow arrived and immediately started leaving. 1, 2, 3. Lycot. Oh, you're married to a Lycaboo. You have 3 children. Dwarves from previous forts. So this is another thing that Dwarf Fortress does that literally no other game in the subgenre can do. If you've had forts in a world, okay? Let's say that fort gets horribly murdered, right? But not all of those dwarves die. They'll then disperse out into the world. And if you start a new fortress in that world that's part of the same civilization, those dwarves may show up at your fortress looking for a new home. Going, oh, well, I heard that there was a new fortress forming, and they're currently homeless. So they go become a band of refugees, and then hear that, oh, you're starting a new fortress. Word will spread, and then they'll show up. You're impervious to the effects of stress. Excellent. Do you like violence? You want to shove sharp things under both of your eyelids? Yes, you do. All right, you've got kills. You killed a cave crocodile in 259. Zombie and Cryptabby. Good stuff. Welcome to the military. Lycot, the stoneworker. Hey, look, it's a Lycaboo. Legendary chef from previous fortress. Seems to be relatively happy, actually. Is truly fulfilled by assisting those under need, is confident under pressure, rarely jealous, finds obligations confining, is rarely moved to mercy, doesn't easily hate or develop negative feelings. Killed 5 humans! Pagebury. You can also join the military, but I don't know how often you'll actually do stuff. Maximus! My cousin showed up. Dreams of mastering a skill, is incredibly calm, can handle stress, has a tendency to go it alone. We'll put you in the squad of the moist rocks with our friend. Who are you? Bastet. And this is why we didn't name you Bastet, because here you are. Welcome back. You have 19 notable kills and 43 other kills, all in Cryptabby. It's fitting that all of these dwarves are coming here from Cryptabby because this fortress is supposed to be like the military outpost kind of forward operating base for Cryptabby, so I'm happy that these dwarves are showing up here. Yeah, this dwarf's done stuff. I think Bastet is going to run her own squad. Do you have any weaponry? You're an legendary swords dwarf. Unfortunately, you didn't bring any armor. God damn it. Well, that's fine. Metal armor. The Inky Wheels. Bastet, would you like to name your squad? It's currently called the Inky Wheels. You're a thresher. You're an expert swords dwarf. You were definitely also in my military. Hey, Mendelf. Thank you very much, by the way. Tavern Keep. His foot's broken. Poor bastard. Yes, I want more. Is that so bad? Yeah, that's bad, man. Actively avoids stressful and exciting situations. Doesn't seek retributions for past wrongs. Has a noticeable lack of perseverance. Very humble. Tends to be swayed by the emotions of others. Is slow to anger. Yeah, you can just be our tavern keeper. Enjoy the job. An alpaca? Who brought the alpaca? You, Sharir? Goats. You know what, goats? We'll try. We'll try and recoup you because I like you. You were a good dwarf in the previous fort. Well, hello, Alan, enraged. That happens sometimes. Twitch doesn't tell me who's hosting me, so it makes things awkward in that case. It's a nervous wreck. Don't blame you. Having to endure the decay of a spouse is not good. Doesn't easily fall in love. It's fortressy. We just got some migrant wave. Trying to kind of sort them right now. Figure out who's going in the military and who's getting re-jobified. Bad aesthetic sensitivity. Could totally use some just plain archers. So dear, you're a different dwarf. Careful with resources. Good empathy, that's not good. Doesn't handle stress well, that's not good. Well, you need a real job that isn't taking care of animals. So let's give you the very dwarfy job of stone detailing. Go do that. That's Dr. Phineas. Is utterly harrowed by the nightmare that is her tragic life. Yeah, you can leave. I don't need to deal with somebody who's that depressed. You're not named and your child isn't present. You're also going away. Is your child present now? Yes, your children are present. Yeah, you can leave with your kids. I won't take dwarves that are utterly harrowed by the nightmare that is their tragic life. But I will take dwarves like this one, which is in about 8 pieces that is held together with, yeah, just decay of a spouse. If they have a spouse that rots, then they get upset. You're covered in scars. You're like a walking scar. Question is, are you brave? Doesn't handle stress well. Nope. Well, you can go be a planter. It's 26 dwarves. We were at 14. 27, 28. I'm expelling the uber depressed ones, although I don't think I can actually expel you. No focus on the current activity, doesn't hang on to grievances. Values tranquility and self-control. Worried about that one. Might have to keep that one. It's a bug, though. You just got a strange message. What was this strange message that you received? Well, things will be more efficiently done now. Let's check what animals just showed up. Got a puppy. Goat and alpaca, which we can slaughter. Cow, which we can slaughter. Puppy, 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 puppy can all get slaughtered. Kitten, kitten can also get slaughtered. I don't need a goddamn horse, bull. I'll keep the rooster, though. Cool. Oh, you want to know what causes that? I can tell you what causes that. I love that bug. I've had that happen before, except last time I had it was a peasant named Saigon has come, a short, sturdy creature fond of drink and industry. All right. So that person is a were creature. But because Dwarf Fortress works on an actual clock where things need to travel, something must have gotten its way. So the game was preparing to hit you with a were creature, but they turned back into a dwarf before they arrived where you're going, or where they were going, which is, in this case, your fortress. So, basically, they arrived too early. Or too late, rather. Lycott the Stone Dwarf has been taken by a Fey mood. Lycott, eh? Claims the crafts dwarf shop. All right. I kind of wish it was the mason shop, but... Thanks, Morden. So yeah, it's kind of hilarious when that happens. Did you just grab 3 boulders? 3 boulders, eh? 3 pieces of marble. And it's a crafts dwarf shop. Any bets on what that dwarf makes? Good luck there, dwarf. Make us something good. He's just running around babbling now. You might want to kill him. You might want to kill him. Because he probably will cause you problems. Those wagon wood beds? You don't think he'd want to leave? If he's running around your fortress, he'll probably turn into a were creature on the next full moon. So you might want to kill him if you can. If you have the ability to kill him, you might want to kill him. Like, do they, in theory, live forever? Yeah, but generally, you know, it's more of a curse than a blessing, right? Like, yeah, you'll live forever, but you'll probably die first due to getting murdered by crowds of people that it will indeed be marvelous. Absolutely marvelous. Marbulous. Are you asking if it's worth it to try and keep a were creature around? Because I can tell you right now it's not. I don't know if they learn at the normal rate. I'm assuming they would. But the problem with were creatures is they will destroy all the buildings around them once a month. So if you try and turn them into like a... If you try and turn them into like a switch bot or something that just pulls a lever, it won't work because they will simply destroy the lever once a month. So you'll have to rebuild the lever every month. So, like, you also can't keep them as, like, a permanent bookkeeper because they'll just dismantle the table once a month and you have to replace and reassign the table. Like, I guess in theory you could. Yeah, like, that's a thing you could do. And I've done that, is just lock them in a small room. It doesn't need to be 1 by 1 necessarily. It can be any size. But lock them in a room with nothing in it, maybe make it a temple, and they'll just sit there and pray all day and all night. And then they'll go insane. You never need to feed them because they don't starve to death before the wereism kicks in, and wereism resets their hunger meter and their thirst meter, so they won't starve to death and they won't die of thirst. Just leave them in a room alone, and nothing can ever destroy your fort, in theory. Lycott the Stoneworker has created Elariketh, a marble bracelet, and claims it as an heirloom in the name of the family ancestor Lemuel Gorgeslipt. All right. It's a bracelet. A bracelet you done made. Anyway, how you been though, Upsala? It's been a minute. Hope you're doing well. What does praying forever do? It just keeps them busy. It's an activity. This is a marble bracelet. I don't like leaving even cursed beings to, you know, rot in a room for all eternity. If they at the very least have like something they can do, then I feel less bad. A very fancy bracelet, yeah. This is a marble bracelet. Well, crafts dwarfship is of the highest quality. It is encrusted with rectangular marble cabochons and decorated with bands of round marble cabochons. On the item is an image of Kib, the dwarf, and dwarves in marble. Kib is surrounded by the dwarves. The artwork relates to the ascension of the dwarf Kib to the position of Baroness of the Vessel of Artifice in the year 252. Not one of my dwarves, but interesting all the same. Let's make a rock pedestal for it. So we do have some upset dwarves in the fort now, but we'll have to keep a close eye on them and see if they can get a little happier. Like, how are you doing? Goats. What do you want to eat? Rye beer, tapir's milk? Hagfish. Great. You want hagfish. All the fucking things. Fucking hagfish. I'm doing okay. Little, Saiga on the planner, you're one that I'm a little frustrated by, because I want to just expel you, but literally can't. So, because you didn't bring your kid. I won't leave without my baby. Well, you don't have no goddamn baby. Hey, lady, you're crazy. But hopefully once I get everybody bedroomed up and make their lives a little happier, we can sort some things out. So how many more bedrooms do I need now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you know what I think we're going to do here? How about this? I just real quick go over here. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I go over here. Poor goats. Falls into a spat of depression. Do all this, do all this, do all this. Smooth this whole wall, and we'll just channel this floor out, and we'll do like a 2-level set of bunks, I guess, almost. So like the upper bedrooms and lower bedrooms. They'll all be in the exact same spot, just like two floors, basically. Your MC? Ooh. He just did not chill. Dwarves don't really chill when it comes to murder. They murder, and it's glorious. Let's make 10 more beds. Ah, militia commander. I was thinking like MC as in like rapper. Like, what? What exactly? What are you talking about? Pardon the confusion. Bit wordy to write out? Yeah. No, I know what you mean. There's a lot of things that are a bit wordy to write out that will confuse me when they're not written out. Because I'm smart. And very easily confused. I am just trying my best to not accidentally dig into this canal, because that would be terrible. Chad, if I accidentally dig into this canal and you notice that I have, please tell me. It's just a lot of things flickering. I'm doing all right. Woke up super early to go get a blood test done. Got my blood test done, so that's good. One less thing I got to worry about. Purelator's being difficult and is holding one of my packages and refusing to deliver it to the place that I told them to deliver it to. So I get to call them again later today and bitch at them, which is fine. I'm just going to get them to deliver the package to my parents' house. It'll be okay. Yeah, basically it. Are they immortal, or are they just already dead? And now simply dead drones with no sense of self? Depends on your definition of immortal. Certain forms of immortality I don't think are morally worth it. And are they really still your dwarves when they are completely devoid of all personality and thought? And emotion? And ability to love? So no, you can't bring your dwarves back and make them immortal, but you can turn the husks of what once were your mortal dwarves into relatively intelligent, or at least intelligent to the point of taking orders, monsters. Yeah, no, I checked that when you followed when you first made the comment because I was curious. But yeah, was indeed before I had a sub button, but I don't know. It's a weird thing to get compliments on now, you know, especially considering how like literally every child with a webcam out there now has a sub button, basically. Yeah, necromancers are also dead too, and often go nuts because they can't drink alcohol, which is the only thing they want as a dwarf, because they can't eat or drink any foods. It's a lot like the pirates in the Pirates of the Caribbean, where a lot of them are just fucking thirsty as hell because they just really want to drink. It's like, yeah, you're immortal, but like, is that a life you really want? I don't know. I don't know about that. I certainly don't know about that. Maybe someone would. I wouldn't want that life. It's like basic human needs are removed, but like, is that necessarily the way you want to live? It's just like lots of people are like, yeah, fuck yeah, put me in the internet. Make me into a program. I'm like, well, if I can't feel, I don't want that. Sounds awful. You know, when you've been doing this as long as I have, Clayton, like, when somebody pops in and they'll say something like, oh, Blind, I missed your stream. Congrats on getting the sub button. When did you get the sub button? This is a problem with me and not the person asking the question. The problem with me is my knee-jerk reaction is, well, I've never left. I've always been here. Where have you been? You know? It's like if you actually cared, you may have watched for the last few years is kind of the knee-jerk reaction. And it's like, it's a problem that I need to fix with myself, not a problem that the person watching needs to fix. Something I need to get better at not doing, frankly. Dude, I would fucking kill for a cybernetic knee right now, but I don't want to be... There's a big difference between having a cybernetic knee and being put into a computer. You know? Also, computer is copy. I don't want no copy of me put onto a computer. Unless, like, the current me and my current consciousness can be put on a computer, I'm interested. But, you know, I feel you on the knee problem, because, like, my knee pain is something. It's fucking wonderful. I mean, like, to give you an idea, so someone who I haven't spoke with on Twitch in a very long time popped into the stream the other day and basically said, hey, Blind, I missed your streams. It's been a long time. I'm gonna lurk. And I basically said thanks for lurks. And I was curious. About 20 minutes later, I looked at my viewer list and the person was gone. It's like, why even say anything? Like, it's like, I get it, sure, but like, you know, I've got people who I've watched for years who I genuinely consider to be friends on Twitch. And I never close their streams. Their streams are always up in another tab. Even if I can't watch, like, their streams will always be up. And it's like, then somebody tunes in after not watching for a very long time and is just like, hey, missed you. It's like, did you really? It's like, it's weird mixed emotions. Sorry if I feel like I'm harping on this. I think it's an interesting, like, mental study that I think a lot of streamers go through. I think anybody who runs any kind of show goes through. Now, you know, if someone comes back and is like, yeah, you know, I just kind of stopped watching because the game isn't for me, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's totally fine. Like, I get that. Plenty of channels I've stopped watching because I don't like the game. What's going on in the community fort today? So we're on fort number 3 for this world. We had another one, but it kind of got wrecked by itself. We had a loyalty cascade, and the first one I've had in a really long time. All of the dwarves just went batshit and murdered each other. So we've started this fortress, and it's still the same goal for this world. We want to reclaim the fortress of Dive Earth. But right now, it's reclaim the fortress of Dive Earth and try and rehabilitate these 2 very depressed dwarves that have just shown up. Much larger population than the 1,000-year world, and yeah, it's just we're trying to reclaim our lands from the Demon Lord. I don't want to make you into a barracks. I was walking my cat. For a second there, I thought that was, like a legitimate...
Cheese for everyone!
What's up, Winston? Long time. How you been? It's okay, I didn't watch much when I was playing Planet Coaster. I didn't really care for that game much. I regret that year kind of a lot. But you know, there's ruts that people get into with games, and then they feel like they can't get out of it because if they try and get out of it, everybody who watches them, or a large portion of the people that watch them, just bitch, moan, and whine. That think about like favorite band you like or artist you listen to. When they write music that's slightly different, and that large portion of the audience is like, but it's different. The fuck, man. That group of people, it's just like that, but for streamers, right? And when the people who watch the channel, the only thing they want to watch is the one game that they watch you for, or the one style of game that they watch you for, in my case, which was a rut that I was very much stuck in. Now I probably just have that, but for Dwarf Fortress, but that's fine, because I can play DF and keep it interesting forever. I wonder how the mechanics of loyalty cascades works. Do each dwarves have loyalty? So dwarves have friends, right? Well, dwarves have relationships. This could be family member, cousins, or passing acquaintances, friends, close friends, and kindred spirits and lovers, right? If Phil murders Steven's second cousin, Steven's gonna be like, the fuck, Phil, and punch Phil, and this could piss off Phil, and then they could fight to the death. In theory, if they got mad enough at each other, and one of them was like maybe already really stressed, so that stress then suddenly adds on to the initial stress, which causes them to collapse into a loyalty cascade. And let's just say Phil, who killed Steven's cousin, which pissed off Steven to attack Phil, then Steven kills Phil. Well, Phil is best friends with the 8 people behind him, and his brother is right next to him. So then they all start murdering the first guy. And then Steven, who just got murdered by the 9 people that were friends with Phil, Steven is married to another dwarf, who then attacks the... See what I'm saying? It's not supposed to happen, but that can happen. No, totally. And absolutely. You know? Totally. Sorry, this is a weird tangent that I'm on. I'm not talking about anybody in particular in this. I'm just babbling. That's kind of how I operate. If I get stuck on a topic, I just keep talking. So if it's not a welcome subject, somebody tell me and I'll shut the fuck up and change it. Like the fact that the smoke's cleared a bit because it rained today again. Yay. Doesn't quite so much smell like death, acid, fire, and rain outside. No, it just smells like a nice kind of rainy fall day. It's nice. Not inhaling acid smoke all the time. Once again, just because it's that time of day. Is CaliforniaOnFire.com? Yes. Updated September 19th. Good to know. Okay. Tell us more about that dwarf on dwarf violence. I don't know. There's not too much more to say. To be honest. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Most terrifying monster ever. A huge skinless ass that was ravening, and it shot webs and had yellow eyes. But in actuality, the scariest creature ever, a steel stallion that had 2 horns and a shell that had scales that were jagged and overlapping, and it just ran through my entire fortress and killed every single dwarf in the fort. I said ass. Huge skinless ass. Yes. Jails, obviously. Why would I want my dwarves to be beaten to death? Also, it's easier to kill dwarves if you need to kill dwarves with jails. You just lock the door when they get thrown into the prison cell. So if you actually just want your dwarves to die, just put jails in. How would you stop a thing like a steel stallion? I didn't. Like I said, all my dwarves died. Most of them in the stairwells. You live in California, the air quality is terrible. Yeah, I feel you. I'm up in Vancouver, British Columbia. It was bad enough I watched a crow fall out of the sky dead. So, pretty bad. We're not nearly as bad as Oregon, though. Steel weapons or candy weapons? Yeah, we didn't even have copper. We had, like, some copper weapons, because copper was the only thing we'd found. I want to say we also had, like, silver warhammers, but... Yeah, no, you need trained soldiers and steel or adamantine. Would be what you'd need. Is that a... Did I put a door there? I put a fucking door there. Streamer, you're supposed to hit B, not D. But Forgotten Beasts are building destroyers, though. I think what Ocelot actually means is lock the bridge. I didn't have a bridge on that layer. So there was no method of impenetrable defense. Cabinet, rock. 40. Coffer, rock. 40. Alright, so now we have 2 layers of beds. And I have a batshit nuts dwarf who's just like having a spaz attack. It's fine. Just stand there in depression and run out of thirst giblets. And it would have been very easy if I had artifact doors. I mean, of course there's ways to avoid a monster like that. I didn't have the way to avoid it, so... They asked what the scariest creature I ever fought was, and I answered. The one that killed my entire fort. The funniest death I ever had for a creature was, it was literally a fucking Balrog. It was a giant humanoid composed of flame with 2 horns and wings. And it flew around on the surface for a bit, and I sealed off the entrance of my fort. Just kind of chilled on the surface, setting everything on it could see on fire. And then collapsed a tree on itself and got atom smashed by a log. Which is pretty good. Like, oh, a branch fell on its head and it died. And then we confirm later in Legends that, yes, that is indeed what happened. It got crushed by a log. All right, so this is where I had the animals. But this is where I'm going to put Le Militari. Do, 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 da, da, da. That's not what I wanted. Marble coffers is what I wanted. Apparently I already have a bunch of, but that's fine. We'll make more. Well, it wasn't a demon. It was a Hill Titan. But similar, yeah. Demons are different and come from a specific place in the world. Still ancient pre-world creatures, but... See how many dwarves I have that are not in the military. I'm pretty sure all of them are, pretty much. Most of them are. But I have no weapons. So training's not going to matter much. Hope they don't dodge through that wall. It would really suck. I mean, I also had my knockoff dragon that attacked me. It was a giant chicken. Giant one-eyed fire-breathing chicken. Which was kind of amazing. Because if you think about it, it's like, that's basically a dragon. But not quite a dragon. Just basically a dragon. And you know, the only thing scarier than being attacked by a dragon is something that's basically a dragon. And I'm still way too amused by it. Alright, let's dig down. Dig it down! Go down to layer 30. Let's get a little bit deeper. What, the chicken? The chicken died also in a pretty funny way. Oh, there we go. That's what we needed. The chicken died in a really funny way. And the reason the chicken died in a funny way was because the chicken got... It breathed fire on an elf. Okay? The elf exploded into gore. Okay? The boiling blood set its brain on fire. And it died of boiling blood splatter. But, in important news, you have discovered an expansive You have discovered an expansive cavern deep underground. What mysteries await you down there? What horrors will you find? Alright, let's see what we found. We found Glenna. Lead. Alright, Hammerdorf's it is. Silver. Lots of it. Lots and lots of it. All right, well, excellent. Where are we digging down to? So this is going to be where all the dwarves work. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I actually just want to dig normally. And set you as upstairs. If I can. I think it's too late. And you, it's downstairs. We'll construct upstairs right there. Yeah, I do like beasts that end up basically just causing themselves to spontaneously combust. Like, I once had a fire-breathing insect. I want to say it was a praying mantis or something. I just remember it was an insect. Came into the map, breathed fire at a Crundle. This was a Forgotten Beast. Breathed fire at a Crundle and set an underground giant mushroom alight, and then immediately caught fire itself and burnt to death in like a matter of seconds. Like, just ran on the map, went, brah, set some stuff on fire, caught fire, burnt to death. It was very funny. Like, I'm very amused by creatures that just cause their own immediate demise. It's just, it's hilarious irony. Do 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 do. Also, you know, I just gotta thank everybody for hanging out in this weird stream on a Saturday. You know, because that's what this is. This is a weird ass stream. As far as all of Twitch goes, you know, Twitch being kind of the new hotness thing that the kids watch all the time. Like, the fact that you're watching one of the most, well, maybe not most, but one of the more obscure games in existence on one of the biggest, like, forms of entertainment in our current year. Just thank you for hanging out. Nothing causes panic like designated wall room stairs. Yeah, it's some weird non-Euclidean freaks. Oh, God. Oh, God. There's so many troglodytes. Gross. Ah, shoot. Sorry, I had to make the pun. But that sucks, Jelly. I hope your photographer feels better. It's like the third this month. Inconsistent person, maybe? This channel is going to blow up when something releases on Steam. Things release on Steam every day. Oh, that sucks. The weather's been shit. You know, honestly, I can't really blame people for having migraines because, like, I've had on and off migraines for the past week, and I don't generally get migraines. And it's all because of certain fires that you may or may not be aware of. You know, like, you're saying that you're going for a big run soon. I don't know how you would even run in this. Like, I can't walk in it without, like, I was coughing like crazy when I first started today, and that's literally because of, like, the smoke. It's ridiculous. Meditating on war. Need to give them a proper temple, because right now I've got this area designated as a temple and this area designated as tavern. You know what? Before we go underground and start mining out Galena, we should give them a proper tavern, I think, after we give them all proper bedroom stuffs. Cabinets. Going in first. I think we'll put I think I know where I'm going to put the tavern. It's going to be on this layer, like, behind the bedrooms. It's going to be a party town. Party and military zone. You know, for those about to rock, we salute you kind of situation. Because we're going to go fight a fucking demon, and we ain't going to win. Lots of dwarves are going to die in this fort. You woke up an hour ago and had a mood for some DF? So you tuned into my stream, or you opened the game up and went, ooh, dwarves. Yeah, no, I was watching this. I'm actually curious what the AQI is here. Fire at airnow.gov. Yeah, no, we're in the 20s. So you want to know what's ironic about being in the 20s? We're still worse than most of the cities in the world. I'm trying to think, where's like the smoke at now? Yeah, it's like in the here. I'll just show you this. What I'm looking at. This is the smoke. So like all of this crap was like right on top of us before, but it's now moving like central. So an impressive amount of fucking smoke. Is enough for me? Well, fair enough. We've got some migrants who I'm going to immediately make leave. Oh, it's Cole. I just don't want to deal with you. I'm sorry. Zeton. Blissful, remembering sleeping in a great bedroom. Sometimes feels sad being separated from loved ones. Your spouse isn't present. I'm just gonna make you leave too. I don't really want to deal with too many depressed dwarves, and all of these are depressed, which is par for the course, but assuming I can remove most of them. Value merrymaking. Hopeful about the future. Takes offered help. Without feeling particularly grateful. Has a sense of humor. Thinks he's important. Self-absorbed twit. Join the military. Troglodytes are fighting. Hopefully not with me. What jobs do you have? Nothing that's useful to me. Okay. Give you jobs that are useful to me. Let's give you weaving, clothes making. I think that's the one dwarf that's still coming. Yeah, the rest all left. Welcome to the fort, dwarf. But yeah, no, Brahms, I don't know. It's like I'm trying to not get my hopes up, you know? It's a weird thing. Like there's it's a weird discussion, the oh well you're gonna blow up when this happens, because will I maybe you really want abstract thinking. Okay, so I need to give them okay, so we're gonna make this tavern a kind of three-pronged building, right? So the tavern is going to be back here, right? But the tavern's actually going to be four separate buildings. It's going to be a tavern. It's going to also be a chamber for us to keep our artifacts, and it's also going to be a library. So it's going to be a rather large open space with a tavern in the middle type deal. But yeah, no, it's a very tricky thing. It's like, will the channel blow up? It could. It could, but it's also a very, like, obviously it's something that I would like to see happen, but it could go any number of ways when the Steam version comes out, you know, like there's going to be a lot of competition, and I need to stand out from that competition as somebody who already knows how to play the game, but I also need to attract new people while standing out from the competition, right? And I had a lot of people telling me that my channel was going to blow up when RimWorld came out of early access, when I was streaming a shit ton of that. And it did. For a little bit. And then very quickly, a lot of people moved to other channels from my channel, because RimWorld became a very commonly streamed popular game. And the audience for watching it didn't really grow much, but the number of people streaming it did. So the options that for people to watch grew exponentially, while the actual audience of people watching the game didn't. So that then put me into a very weird spot where, did my channel grow? Yes, it got my channel partnered. That's huge. But it didn't have staying power, so. If you put in the work at the time, you will blow up. See, here's the thing, right? I will put in the work, and I will do everything in my goddamn power around release window to push my channel, and I will be begging my friends to help me. But I don't want to guarantee anything, right? You know, a lot of this is just me trying to not get my own hopes up. And then there's also like the what would one define as blowing up? I would kind of define what Krug Smash has had happen over the past year, blowing up. His channel has grown exponentially, and he's making a relatively comfortable living doing that, right? I'm making a living, so technically I've already kind of blown up. It's weird. And then also, like, I don't want to alienate the audience that I have currently. I guess, like, for me, my ideal hope out of the Steam version for Dwarf Fortress is the active daily audience goes from 50 to 100 people watching Dwarf Fortress on Twitch every day to a couple thousand. I would really like to see there be a couple thousand people watching Dwarf Fortress every day. And, you know, there's obviously a part of me that says, and I'd like, you know, a lot of them to be watching me, but to a degree, not so much. I want there to be 30, 40 people streaming Dwarf Fortress, and I want the top 10 people to all have 100 plus viewers. That's what I would like to see, you know? So do I necessarily want to blow up? No, but I want Dwarf Fortress creation and content to grow. That's what I want, primarily. If I get to a point where I'm pulling thousands of viewers out of it, that would be fucking cool. But I personally think it would be more beneficial for me to, let's throw numbers out here, get 300 viewers, a few hundred viewers, and the directory be healthy. Because that means there's more longevity. I don't think there is any, if you put in the work, you will blow up. I don't think that's how this industry works. I think a lot of it is luck. Because I know people that have been at this consistently, playing various different types of games for 10 years that have never gotten to a point where they have more than 10 people watching that do this multiple times a week. Did someone just get injured? No? Well, then why do you want empty buckets? Might I ask, Dwarf? You really feel bad about being away from family, and you want to practice a martial art real badly, so I'll put you in the military. You can be in the military. And you know what? Let's begin cutting out all of this Galena down here. Maybe make this into our forge. Oh, maybe that's the problem. Yep, run out of drink. Usually I assume they want to water animals or clean a wound, but yeah, you're right. I'm still at that point where I don't quite have enough greens to just like have a billion alcohol, which is where I'm at in the other fort, and so I forget. That's all Galena, right? Yeah. This is where I'm going to put a lot of my industry. And you don't hate it? I've been there. Yeah, I've been there. I once drank an energy drink that smelled strangely similar to Old Spice, which it was odd. Let's make 30 tables. Make them out of marble. No, not iron. Rock thrones, 30. And make them out of marble. But yeah, no, I would love to do one thing on this platform. Well, two things. I'd like to make a living, which currently I am, which is amazing. And so I don't really have anything else I can ask for because I've completed that. But I'd like to make a living and be able to make a difference and help games that deserve more recognition. That's what I want to do. And right now, I have a little bit of an ability to do that. I want more of an ability to do that. You know, there's a lot of people who are on Twitch and their primary goal is to make a living, which is respectable. I'm not on Twitch just to make a living. I never have been. Twitch started off as a method of stress relief for me. It was an outlet, a place to go vent. And it's still that, largely. I'm just lucky enough that I can make enough to make a living doing this. You know, my goal isn't to pursue large numbers of sponsorships. They'll happen occasionally, but that's not the goal. The goal isn't to become some big famous influencer. The goal is just to be able to help games that deserve it. And there's a lot of games out there that deserve a lot more recognition that get none. And I've always been envious of the old guard of content creators where they play a game once for 2 hours and put up a video of it, and that saves a whole studio, you know? Like the people like Total Biscuit, for example, people that just have an audience that has so much faith in their opinion in a game. If they say the game is good, it will single-handedly save a studio. And that affects a lot of people who buy the game and enjoy the game, and also affects the studio because they get to keep their jobs and keep making games. I don't think I'll ever get to that point, but that's what I want. I want to get to the point where I can have an audience that is powerful enough to be able to affect things. I doubt I'll ever get that far. We have a cook with a Fey mood who has claimed a craft store, or not a Fey mood, a possession who's claimed a craft store shop, picking up a piece of marble. Probably another piece of marble. Like, now I am just genuinely rambling, but, you know, chat's lurky, and I hope that you guys kind of understand what I'm trying to say. Like, right now I make a living. Barely. Be nice to get further than that. Grabbing a piece of leather. Okay, now you wait. What are you looking for? Leather skin. Bars of metal. Uh-oh. Well, time to real quick, get some metal crafting going. Goats, you're in the military. Thresher, you're also in the military. You're not in the military. All right. Well, I'm going to take you off of all jobs. Put you on all of the metalsmithing stuff. Got that silver ore incoming. Well, silver and lead. Are you completely lost? Yeah, that dwarf's pretty far gone. Then I need wood burning. Do 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 do. Hey, chat room, just because we're a little lurky. If you're out there and you're listening to the stream, type in the word beer. Let's see how many beers we can get. I wouldn't say I could ever... Winston's, I think you and Wolfpack need to get your ears checked. Y'all are fucking deaf. So chat, what do you guys want to talk about? Because it's clearly not what I've been rambling about for the last 20 minutes because y'all are just not paying any attention. So what do you guys want to talk about? While these dwarves desperately try and get some metal bars for that poor dwarf that needs it. It needs masonry, and my masons are both busy with all of the tasks.
Next cup of coffee is on me.
Next cup of coffee's on me. Is it now? Cheers. Thanks for the 5. You listen to your dreams of becoming a biscuit. I don't know, man. You found out you can't do audiobooks? It can be oddly dull. Poorly made audiobook is not fun. That's not true, Winston's. Now that's actually a reason to post a round of beers in chat. Can I get a round of beers for that $5 tip from Captain Clayton? Cheers, man. As I listen to very epic music while the dwarves try and smelt stuff. Waiting for you to leave, because that means that you've made charcoal. A book every 2 days. Yeah, lifeguarding is a very absent industry, unfortunately. Are they still calling that game a roguelike? Because I can't do it if they keep calling that game a roguelike. Makes me upset. Alright, so that should do it. That's good enough for you? Fair enough. One of my favorite comments about that game, I think I sent you the clip, was Cody, who just said, wait, there's no punishment for not doing anything? Well, then it's not a rhythm game. Which is funny to me. You were sketching diagrams and you found out you can't draw regular pentagons, not even with a ruler. Because that's what I would use for that. I can't read much. My eyes stop working. I need large print books to be able to read comfortably. I can do that easily on a computer. Can't do that easily with a book. When I read Harry Potter, I got the large print of the last book, which took an extra year to arrive and was that thick and that big. I did read it. That's the last time I read a book, and I've just kind of given up because it's frankly not worth the fucking effort. And before you say you can use a tablet, sure, I could also not. Your score is constantly going down. So if you're... No, I think that in Cody's case, he was more referring to shooting on the beat or hitting a button on the beat. Moving doesn't really... There's no rhythm to moving, right? Like if you had to tap your movement to the beat to maintain movement or something, that would be something. Like if they had like a jump strafing mechanic where you had to like, you know, do the Quake thing where you're like, not bunny hopping, but strafe jumping. Along with the beat. It's basically just like Crypt of the Necro Doom dancer thing. This is the game that Hobo's talking about. It's called BPM. I'm just really annoyed by that game for two reasons. Number one, gun models are massive, so it gives me motion sickness. And two, they call it a roguelike. And that bothers me, but... That would probably get annoying. Probably. Yeah. Probably. It's weird to me. That's all. That being said, I would play a grid movement-based first-person Crypt of the Necrodancer. Like kind of an old-school grid-based RPG. I'd totally play that. I think that would be really neat, actually. But somebody else can make that game. No, roguelike means turn-based. If it's not turn-based, it's not a roguelike. That's my sticking point. If it's not turn-based, it's not a roguelike. If otherwise, it's a run-based game. To me, it's like calling XCOM a real-time strategy game. It's not a real. It's a turn-based strategy game, not a real-time strategy game. I like Remain in the early 2000s. Don't have any newer readings. Like books that you like reading and hearing in audiobook format. Like no one's updated them. That kind of sucks. Like Kaboo, the cook has created Azris Desgir, a marble toy hammer, and claims it is an heirloom in the name of the family ancestor Lumal Gorgeslipt. A marble toy hammer with silver. It's worth $22,800. This is a marble toy hammer. Craft Dwarf is of the highest quality. It is encrusted with round marble cabochons and decorated with dog leather and encircled with bands of rectangular marble cabochons and adorned with hanging rings of silver and menaces with spikes of marble. Sounds beautiful. Hello, television. Who we bonking? It's a run-based platformer. Spelunky isn't a roguelike. The creator knows it's not a roguelike. What's funny about Spelunky is the guy who makes Spelunky has worked on traditional roguelikes in the past, and he doesn't call it a roguelike. He calls it a run-based platformer. Oh, yeah, okay, I understand now, television. You're mimicking the toy hammer. World of Warships has a Transformers tie-in? That's actually kind of cool. But no, Spelunky is not a roguelike. The only people who call Spelunky a roguelike are people who don't know what they're talking about. In fact, you'll actually see the highest rated tag on it isn't roguelike, it's action roguelike, which is another term for a run-based platformer. So if you call a game an action roguelike, a roguelite, or a run-based game, that's very different from saying just roguelike. It's like... I'm a genre stickler. I blame my taste in music for that. Ah, okay. Is there really, like, no modern readings of Discworld? Seems weird. Discworld's one of those series where you'd think there'd be a lot of modern readings of that. I guess not. Dwarves have arrived to trade. Welcome, dwarves. Don't really have anything to trade with them. Don't think. You know, I guess like the easiest way to explain it is this. I really like a specific style of game. I really like turn-based, top-down roguelikes. And it's a genre of game I've enjoyed on and off for the majority of my life. Then all of a sudden, a lot of people decided to start calling things like Binding of Isaac roguelikes, removing a very critical mechanic from that style of game that I really like, the turn-based aspect. So the second you remove the turn-based aspect, it stops being the genre that I know and love. But a lot of people don't seem to see that as a problem. I do. I really do. So it's... You have, like in the example of XCOM, you have real-time tactics games and turn-based tactics games. Real-time tactics games being like the Commandos games, or more recently, Desperados 3, or Blades of the Shogun, I think was the name of that game. The Shogun one. Shadow of the Shogun? Can't remember. But there was that other one that came out that's very popular. I very much like real-time tactics games with pause. They're a lot of fun. But I also like XCOM-style, grid-based tactics games. Now, if everybody suddenly decided that they were going to stop making grid-based tactics games and made a real-time XCOM with pause and no grid, I wouldn't consider that to be a real XCOM game. Because you're removing one of the main mechanics of the franchise, the grid-based movement. That's how I feel about roguelikes. If you remove the grid-based movement and the turn-based aspect, it stops being a roguelike for me. But it's thanks to the Binding of Isaac, which is ironic because Binding of Isaac is actually one of the closest to original roguelikes as people call them, ever made. It's very, very close to OG Rogue in its design, aside from the fact that it removes one of the main mechanics. So it's certainly inspired by Rogue. But people now, they say roguelike, and what they actually mean is run-based game with random loot. Well, you want to know what's another game that's run-based with random loot? PUBG. You spawn randomly on the map. Well, you fall onto the map, but technically you never spawn in the same place twice, exactly. And the loot's in random places. And there's games out there that are like, yeah, we're a roguelike, that have about as much in common with Rogue as PUBG. Which is very clearly a very different game. And that bothers me a little bit. I mean, Borderlands doesn't have permadeath or random spawns, so... Hobo, I know where you live, approximately. I'll fucking tack nuke you, okay? Come on, man, we're on the same team! Hobo's going, he's doing this discussion again. Your face is running in loot. Meh. Realistically, I don't care that much, but it's always going to cause something in my brain to go out of alignment whenever I read it. Always. So you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm actually just going to... I'm going to trade artifacts. I'm going to give you that. Wherever the heck that ring is. Where the heck did I put that? Whatever. It's fine. We'll just trade them the one artifact. My name is Zulban. I am your liaison from the Mountain Homes. Let's discuss your situation. Someone might be wearing it. Highly doubtful. There is much to share. Information has been added to the civilization and world info. And what requests do you have of our merchants, dwarves? Iron. Brass. Steel. Gold? Pink gold. Iron anvil and steel anvil. Shields, leggings, greaves, trousers, high boots, gauntlets, helms, mail shirts, breastplates. Thank you. We have finalized the import agreement. Feel free to go over the documents. Let's discuss what we were willing to offer you for your great craftsmanship. We have finalized the export agreement. Feel free to go over the documents. Farewell, Arch. I look forward to our meeting next year. Our fortunes rise and fall together. May Bobette be slain. Or something. I don't know. They're still unloading. Oh no! Bum, ba-da-dum, bum, 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 bum. Hey chat, do you ever get the feeling that your mods just like to see you in pain? Or is that just me? Or that streamers' mods just like to see them in pain? Oh, hey, I just got code for a game I'm mildly interested in-ish. I just got code for this. Link in chat if you want to see it. It was a game that was only available in Chinese up until now, I think? But it's kind of like Dynasty Warriors meets Kenshi. With really pretty art. Ooh, they have books. I'll gladly buy a couple books. Ba-dum-bum. Yeah, I like the art style a whole bunch too. It's funny because like somebody gifted that game to Kiri not realizing that it wasn't in English. And she couldn't read it and she's like, I'm not learning Chinese to play that. It was a game that people were so interested in it, they bought it just to try and play it. Or using various translation apps. And there was like a English fan patch for it. But it's actually coming out in English now, which is nice. It's nice when like popular demand forces a studio to put a game out in English. It's happened a couple times, but it just looks cozy. I don't know. Like a fun kind of open world, run around and hacky slashy things. And I really like games that have a lot of units on screen, so. That's enough leather, I think. Yeah, I said it. That's enough leather. Must have requested all of the leather. Yeah, I certainly did. They're getting the toy hammer because I have no children. All right, trade. Merchant Bim says, Knighted goods is a great treasure, and we respect that this is no mere trade. Speaking of no mere trade, I don't know who Nomir is or what he's trading, but I'm going to go get my lunch because it is 1:15. It is lunchtime for me. So I'm gonna go grab my sandwich, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. If you're hanging out in the chat, just chilling, maybe tell a friend about the stream. If you're interested in trying Dwarf Fortress and you have questions, just let me know when I get back. And thank you very much to everybody who's hanging out and watching the stream. It's been kind of a chill day. That happens sometimes, but be back in a couple minutes. Microwave hype, it seems indeed, yeah. You know what, chat room? That's a good fucking dwarf, too. By God. What are you good at? Well, I need more metalsmiths. Excuse me. Pears are a S+ tier fruit. You know, like, there's not a lot of things that go into the S+ tier for me, but like, pears are fantastic. I need to eat more pears. Oh, I need wood. Good thing I got these really old big trees that have shit tons of wood in them. Rith, the wood burner. Oh, you're just a wood burner. Today I'm eating a ham, tomato, and avocado sandwich. I ran out of cheese, unfortunately. You're an administrator. What are your skills? Ah, you're a swords dwarf. And a skilled record keeper. Interesting. Killed 4 goblins. Want to create a great work of art. 118 years old. Seems like a pretty good dwarf for the military. Yeah, it's a very sad day when a person runs out of cheese. Next time, though. Next time I go into the store, I'll probably pop into the store again tomorrow morning. Strong feelings of jealousy. Hates the natural world. Good. It's quite ambitious. That dwarf can handle stress, so they're joining the military. An actual doctor? You're brave in the face of imminent danger. How about you? Also brave in the face of imminent danger. Man, I really, 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 really need to make a bunch of hammers. Because we're going to have hammer dwarfs. Unfortunately, they're not going to have any armor. But we're going to have a bunch of silver war hammers. These trees better give me a shit ton of logs. Yep, that's a shit ton of logs, all right. Stone, remind me to never let you be my noble. Because frankly, I don't want to make that many toy hammers. And you know what? You can't make me make that many toy hammers. Assign location, the laborious nut. And, the tragic abbey can go down here. Minus these bedrooms that have these chunks of space in them. Location, the tragic abbey. And, the rest over here can all be library. Library. Library of construction, sure, because it's still under construction, so that fits. Yeah, that's what it's called, the laborious nut. It was actually a randomly generated name, and I thought it was funny, so I kept it. It's literally that simple. It was literally just like, oh, it made me laugh for a second, so I kept it. But how you doing, Dwarfburger? Petition. Farmer Guild. Trifle Fortress now requires Farmers Guild Hall. The Company of Budding. You know, that's a pretty decent, like, guild hall name. Or guild name for a farmer's guild. The Company of Budding. We are a budding company. We are professional budders. Don't tell Butters. We stole his name. Yeah, you know what? We can just make this whole area the realm of the Company of Budding. Craft Guild Hall. The Tuft of Skins. The Tuft of Buds, maybe. The Guild of Buds. Guild of Buds. Citizens and long-term residents only. Value is more than enough, and they're satisfied. It's gonna make that area we'll put a couple chairs and tables and stuff in there for them as well. What, me saying that I don't want you to be my, noble? I mean, I think it's a legitimate statement. I do not want you to be one of my nobles because, like, having seen some of the things you say in my chat, I would not want you to be in charge of one of my forts. Hope you're enjoying your weekend, Burger. Hey, Crow. Thank you. Cheers, man. This is going to be food stocks down here. Interrupted by a giant buzzard. Those giant buzzards are kind of terrifying. They're not so hard to mine through, though. Howdy, how's it going? Yeah, it's going all right. I'm kind of tired today because I had to wake up at 5 in the morning to go do a blood test. My knee hurts from walking to said blood test. Got rained on pretty heavily. But it's nice. The oxygen around here is much clearer now that it's rained pretty heavily on and off for about 2 days. So that's lovely. So take the benefits where they sit, right? Smelt Galena. Let's just say 20. See how much silver that gets us, because I'm not sure how much silver that's going to net us. What value did I reconsider? My choices as to whether or not to bring an umbrella. I will bring an umbrella next time. And which shoes I should wear. Yeah, it's lead and silver. I kind of need to keep an eye on it, see how much silver we actually get out of it. Because right now I have 2 silver bars and 4 lead. So I'll probably just start making furniture out of lead. Because dwarves like metal furniture. And everything else will just... That or lead barrels. She's not excited. You get used to it pretty quick. I get to do quarterly blood tests and and a separate blood test once every 6 months. So yeah, I got to do about the same amount. 1 twice a year, and although the quarterly is not just blood test, it's blood test, it's urine sample, it's everything. It's the whole fucking shebang, so. Yay. The nice thing now is I get priority when booking appointments, which I didn't get previously. You've had almost nothing but happiness since you got here, so hopefully you'll sort your brain out, Dwarf. Bookcase. Lead. Let's make 4 lead bookcases. See how we're doing on that silver. Good amount of silver bars. We got 12. As well as 16 lead. And vampires. See, vampires is not an irrational... is definitely an irrational fear, because vampires don't exist, right? But blood tests is not an irrational fear. That's a very legitimate fear. It's a loud fucking helicopter flying over top. It's very low. Can you guys hear that helicopter? It's like, I almost feel like I need to shout over it. That's how loud it is. Actually, that might be a propeller plane. Weird. But yeah, no, it's, I don't know. I don't consider a fear of blood tests to be irrational. I think that's a perfectly rational fear. Getting blood work done usually means that something's wrong, right? Or, it's like saying that you have an irrational fear of illness. It's like, no, that's not an irrational fear. That's a perfectly rational fear. It's just like a lot of people have a rational fear of needles. Like, that's a very rational fear. It's perfectly normal to be afraid of needles. I'm just very desensitized to that fear. And, you know, I've had a number of people tell me, they're like, oh, well, you know, if I had to give myself 4 injections a day, you'd die. And my response to that is, no, you fucking wouldn't, because I know plenty of people who are in the same situation as me with the same disabilities as me that had phobias of fucking needles, and then they got diagnosed. And, you know, I think I used to it pretty fucking quick. It's weird how fast the human mind adapts to be able to tolerate things that it doesn't like. So, the human mind is a more powerful thing than a lot of people give their brains credit for. You're actually way tougher than you think. So, I do honestly think, though, that needles are a perfectly rational fear. Like, you know, if you're in the hospital and you go to give somebody blood work and they go, oh, yay, I love this. That's a little strange and cause for concern. Whereas, oh, God, I hate needles is perfectly rational. I think it was actually propeller plane television. It's got your fort to a good stage on a wham tantrum spiral. Yeah, I mean, that happened to me last week, right? Like, we went from 95 dwarves down to almost none in a matter of minutes. It's a really bad spot for bedrooms. You know, maybe I'll just make this into a sand crafting area and not work on glass down here and not worry about bedrooms. We'll move our bedrooms elsewhere. I don't want to have to like refloor everything. It's unfortunate though, losing a lot of good dwarves like that. I mean, I hit a whole bunch of sand. I'm making some bookcases. That's about it. Airplane flew over top. Is that sand? Because they're not smoothing it. Yeah, whatever. Oh, it's Alt-A for alter. Ha! I get it. Makes you think they're up to something? You need to be less prejudiced against the poor unliving. The unliving are generally quite an agreeable folk if you, you know, simply give them the time to talk. You know, like they're just chilling. They're just here to hang out. I think you're the one who's prejudiced. Because you're automatically suspicious of undead for existing. I mean, it's not their fault they're undead. Right? Like, they're just there to hang out. Let's get rid of that on the corner there. Remove seeds. Bring in those chests. Excuse me. I mean, if you're scared about them stealing your artifacts, maybe you should put more defense on your artifacts. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, you could also interrogate them for crimes that were committed in your fortress years ago. See if they complain. Do, 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 do. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. These are all of the new beds I'm digging out. So we got a bunch of new migrants. All right. Silver ham. On 10 silver hamvers. See how we're doing on silver. Should be good. What if it's a human not named Urist? Not all people are named Urist. Just lots of good people are named Urist. Do 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 do. Necromancer scholars haven't been causing too much trouble aside from raising carps and undead black bear people. It's kind of funny when they raise like undead fish because they still scare the dwarves. It's like, oh god, it's an undead fish. It's like it's still just a fucking fish. It's just kind of stinky fish. I mean, they won't raise undead unless they see something that scares them. So don't give them any reason to be afraid and they won't raise anything. Pretty simple, really. They really handily killed 2 dwarves. Yeah, no, you are correct. Undead fish are scary. Undead oysters. Whatever are you going to do? It's a shell dat. Move! I'm sorry, but that's really fucking funny. Like, I know I should be like, oh no, that's awful, those poor dwarves. But I'm like, hey, that's real funny. That's really fucking funny. All right, so they should go train anytime now. There they go. They're probably all gonna go pick up equipment. Including the captain of the guard. Unassign the captain of the guard and sign someone else up as the captain of the guard to interrogate the captain of the guard. I mean, the captain of the guard generally dies of boredom. So, like, you kind of gotta let them do something. I always feel kind of bad for the captain of the guard because the captain of the guard always just seems like such a boring, unrespected task, you know? It's like, oh, you poor dwarf. You're just up here dying of nothing to do. You know what I mean? Cats specifically. Yeah, unfortunately, interrogating cats might be difficult because they don't care about anyone, anything, or anybody ever. Fortunately, you know what would be amazing is if cats could, like, play with things and steal shit. Like, I don't know about you guys, but my cats used to always hoard hair ties, and, like, I'd go and I'd look behind a cupboard or something, and there'd be, like, a dozen hair ties behind a bookshelf or something. I'd always be like, what, why? Wait, what, why? These cats can get drunk? Not anymore. I mean, they would still just die of alcohol poisoning. Like, they really can't get drunk. I mean, they used to. Fortunately, Tarn fixed that bug. Alcohol is bad for kitties. You know, I thought that Al-Nilini taught all of you this. You shouldn't give your pets alcohol. Just don't do it. Doesn't matter how cute they look when they're drinking vodka. You shouldn't do that. It's bad for the kitty. Your cat will play fetch with your gifs, her tear ties. We'll stuff them under the couch. Yeah, that's what cats do. They hide things in places. In their lair. Make a nest out of them. Oh no! Where'd that dog go? Also, more importantly, where the heck's that giant tick? I think a giant tick just assassinated one of my dogs. Let's try and kill this giant tick. Because these things can, like, four-shot a dwarf. Where's my dwarves at? Oh, no, it's going to leave the map. Or, oh, no, it's going to cross the water. Oh, God, I got to cancel the job. I don't want my dwarves to just, like, vault into the water. Why? Because there's a giant tick running around? That was your first clue that this fortress needs to be burned? Oh, phew. It's just a giant sponge. I thought that there was a dwarf in the water with the giant sponge, and I was about to get very upset. But yeah, you're probably right. This fortress probably does need to be burnt to the ground. And silver warhammer 20. Let's make enough silver warhammers for literally everybody. Look at all of those recruits we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 dwarves. All brand new recruits. I'm sure this will go just fine. That giant tick tries to walk in here, it dies. That should destroy the fort. I mean, we need to poke Bobbit a few times. It would certainly kill most of my dwarves that went and attacked. I mean, just let me train at least one of my dwarves up to being the tier of hammer dwarf, and then we'll see. I'm not just gonna start throwing recruits into the meat grinder yet. Like, we'll certainly get to that point, but like, you know. Goats, you're a Marksdwarf. Yeah. Satisfied after teaching dodging. Generally, my first sign that a fortress needs to be burnt to the ground is when there's Kias that show up. But in the case of Stony, he's like, giant tick, set it on fire. I don't know if I agree with that necessarily. We're going to have a very good blunt force trauma army, that's for sure. They're learning about dodging with a decent silver warhammer. Wonder after communing with their god. Quatch. Satisfied learning about dodging. And we got a mood. Marty Party has been taken by a possession. It's probably going to be a crafts dwarf shop again because you're a stone crafter. Vizerlix is becoming our dwarf in charge of making sure that we all have good metal toys to play with. Well, axes, hammers, weapons of that sort. I know, is it really just another triple marble? Man, we already had a marble hat trick. Do I need another marble hat trick? Hey, there's the dog that got attacked by the giant tick. That's also surprisingly enough not dead. You know, this dwarf may bounce back, hopefully. Let's give you weaving. Very perilous job indeed. It was a craft dwarf shop, yeah. So I'm expecting another ring or something. They will make a mug. I mean, they'll definitely make a marble scepter, actually. I don't know what you're talking about. Definitely looks like a scepter to me. Marty Party has created Horsed. Is it Corsid Erin? I think Corsid Erin, a marble scepter, and claims it is a Hamley heirloom. A Hamley heirloom. Worth 9,600. This is a marble scepter. All craftsdwarfship is very high quality. It is encrusted with rectangular marble cabochons, and this object is adorned with hanging rings of marble and menaces with spikes of marble. Beautiful. It's marble madness, even. Let's go 200 rock crafts. Let's get some rock crafts going here. You feel like a mug? Are you saying that you came up with a bad idea and a bad hair day with your mug? Or is that just a dumb joke? I think that's just a dumb joke. Streamer dumb. Don't worry about what streamer has to say. A mug can mean fool. A mug can also mean face. Like the term, me and my ugly mug. They're not talking about a mug. They're talking about your face. But yes, it can also mean fool. Hence the term mug shots. Referencing face shots. Generally given to a person whilst in prison. Mug can also be a container with an open end, usually made of clay or other ceramics, and generally intended for warm drinks. Generally! But can also be filled with many things. Not necessarily just warm drinks, or drinks of the warm variety. It can also be drinks of the cold variety, drinks of the, I don't know, what other variety of drink could you... Be honest with you, I don't really know where I'm going with this. Oh yeah, or drinks of the solidified variety, like in the form of a cupcake. But wouldn't that be a mug cake instead of a cupcake? A cup would be a cake made in a cup. A mug cake would be a mug made in a cup. You know what? Actually, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just gonna put beds here. I'll not worry about it. I'm just like kind of tired and chat's kind of lurky, so I'm just like, what you're getting right now is you're just getting like a raw dispensing of my brain So wherever my brain goes, I just word vomit it onto the plate. So hopefully it's relatively nutritious and somewhat entertaining for you to hear as I just like fumble my way through today. Whatever happened to that giant tick? It ran away. Marble coffers. Well, now that we've got marble coffers, we should give them marble sneezers. Chests is what a coffer is. They use it to store items and stuff that they own in. Mugs predate recorded history. Most dwarven knowledge and language does too. Although they may make discoveries such as reproductive behavior and diets of animals, or gears or pulleys. It's always grand when a dwarf makes a great discovery, such as pulleys and their uses. There's many genius dwarf scholars in every realm. It's just usually they make all of the discoveries before the player even gets into the world, so the player never gets to make any cool discoveries. You were talking about on Earth? Wow. What even is Earth? Just a very advanced simulation running on somebody's computer. One day they'll get bored. Hopefully they don't back us up, because goddamn we shouldn't be. Chat, if we're running on a simulation, would it make you happier or upset if whoever our supreme overlord running the simulation is kept a backup? And do you think they're keeping a backup? Because I wonder about that sometimes. It's like, I really like the simulation theory. I don't know how literally I take it in a lot of cases, but... I mean, obviously humanity is modded. How else do you think we're possibly this dumb? It'd suck because you'd probably be pretty sure that they're not save scumming for your case. I mean, yeah, no, they're definitely not save scumming for us. We would have been reverted back years ago, I think. Just run millions of parallel universes. You know, you do make a valid point there. You do make a valid point there. Backups are only necessary if you're worried about losing something, right? Like, save scumming is only necessary if you have a failure state. If whoever the thing or entity is that is running us on a simulation on a computer somewhere, then, you know, what do they deem as a failure state? Maybe the very existence of our species is a failure state and they've already lost and moved on to a new one. God damn it. They chose the form of the destructor, and it was us. Pwam, pwam, pwam. Really? I thought that you were going to cancel that. I guess not. Spear Dwarf has given birth to a boy. Well, fantastic. Well, I'm fairly certain that there's parallel universes where our species went extinct before it got intelligent. I mean, that's just... I'd be crazy to not think that. I mean... Actually, I've got a very genuine question for you, chat room. Over the years of my life, I've gradually started to just kind of feel that we've been an advanced civilization before and forgotten. And like, not even the ancient aliens theory, but like, oh, there were aliens before, but they were us. You know what I mean? Like, we already had developed some degree of technology. Like, maybe we didn't have computers, but, you know, maybe we got to the equivalent of like the Middle Ages before. And then the Ice Age happened. We all forgot everything. I genuinely believe we've been relatively advanced already before and then forgot. Like, the more I look into the more I learn about ancient history, and the more I read about the Ice Age and look at just and hear about discoveries of ruins at the bottom of the ocean and shit that just make absolutely no logical sense. It's like, how the fuck could we have built that? Just really makes me wonder. It's like, how much have we done in the past and just completely forgotten about? I don't know. Even if it's like not true, it's really fun for me personally to think about. Makes me weirdly hopeful because it makes me feel like, oh, well, fuck it, we'll all die, but the world will keep going, which is all that really matters, right? I mean, not even pyramids. Like, pyramids are recent enough history that, like, and it, like, there's plenty of like yeah, for a couple hundred years there was definitely a point where we were all like, okay, how the fuck did we build this? But like, they've more or less solved that now. Like, we kind of know how we built it. How we built those things at this point. We have a pretty freaking good idea of how they could have done it, even if we don't know, you know, page for page, the instruction manual of how they did it. The fused glass to Nida the continent 25 years ago. Yeah, that could only be a nuclear explosion. I mean, that could also be caused by a volcanic eruption, right? I don't know. It's just playing games like Dwarf Fortress, you know, that's constantly generating new worlds, but all at the same time, you see kind of weird similarities between them sometimes, and all of that just makes me genuinely feel sometimes like this isn't the first time we've been advanced. It's like history repeats itself, and it wouldn't shock me if like we've killed ourselves already before and just kind of risen from the ashes. I know, it would be neat if like we suddenly discovered that we are actually living in the post-apocalypse. Wouldn't that be interesting to learn? Like, there's plenty of literature of, oh, well, what's life going to be like after the apocalypse? It's like, what if we're already here? Doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes? I disagree. History repeats itself, but it also rhymes. Rhymes can also repeat themselves. A song has verses and a chorus. Always comes back to the beginning, even if it differs from time to time. Whatever it was, it left no evidence, and it had happened, which suggests no real technology. Yeah, but what's your definition of technology, right? Like, ancient Romans had frickin' pipes and plumbing. That's technology. Like, is it computers? Okay, well, what do you define as real technology? Yeah, well, hence why we like a good catchy theme song, right? Is your name pronounced Bahantome? I think that's how you say that. Let me know if I'm wrong. Like, kind of like Bahag, but also Otome. Like a good bass line. I mean, we always come back to the chorus, right? No matter, it doesn't matter. We'll always be back to the chorus. Whether you like the human race or not, we have habits. Mass infrastructure is some equivalent. What do you define as mass infrastructure? Something that would be here now that... Wait, what do you mean by no we could measure and explain? I mean, being able to measure and explain something... or not being able to measure and explain something is part of the reason why it's fascinating, right? Something being there that shouldn't be there that we can't explain. And there's plenty of that on Earth right now. It's like no matter how fucking smart we are, we still have no idea how we did X thing 1,000 years ago. At the end of the day, it kind of comes down to, well, what do you define as intelligent? What do you define as technology? Okay. I mean, I've read about many structure-like things that are not easily explainable. Like, yeah, they're explainable, but there's enough of a but in there that I look at it and I go, huh, maybe. Interesting. And regardless of whether or not it's a thing that's actuality, and 100% it's not, obviously. Still interesting and fun to think about. Llama would be rush hour traffic. I mean, that's when you need your neighbor to get out of the fucking way so you can get to work. You know what I'm saying? Although, if they made a new Rush Hour movie and at one point they ride a llama, I would totally watch that film. Who said I'm talking about fables and myths? I think you and me are talking about different things, though, of Slot. Sure, but that's why I'm not saying that this is something I completely believe. I think it's something that's interesting to think about. Like, do you understand the difference between those two things? Like, I'm not saying we were intelligent previously and forgot. I'm saying there's a possibility that we may have been intelligent previously and forgot. Okay? So I'm not saying this is a fact I believe in. But it's not necessarily fiction. Because you haven't proven either way. Sure, there's no evidence that there's aliens out there in the world, out in the universe. But there's aliens out in the universe. There's no evidence that we were intelligent previously. But we haven't proven not. Your hand is also one key too far over on the keyboard in a few of those words, but yes. Mm-hmm. Sure. I'm enjoying this TED Talk of Slot. Dragonman! Welcome back.
Wood.
For the lucky number 13. It's good to have you back, man. Let's chuck a Leatherworks back here. Because I don't have a tanner shop, but I do need one. That's a pretty effective method of murder. Chat, can I get a proper round of beers for Dragon Man? Keeping that stuff alive for 13th month. Just type in the word beer. Let's see how many beers we can get. But no, what we have is science based on fossils that we have found. But if an entire species is pushed to extinction at a time when they're not writing anything down or retaining collective knowledge, things can be forgotten. And when people say that we've been intelligent in humanoid form for about 5,000 years, I can't believe that. We've been bipedal creatures for way longer than that. 13 beers for 13 months. Cheers, man. It's like getting up close to those nice 16 packs. Now, you said 5K, not 5,000,000. Also, 5,000,000 isn't a number. So if you're going to type in the number you mean. Yes, and I assume that that was a double tap, right? I assume that was a typo. 5KK doesn't mean anything to me. Probably never will. Will always be assumed as a typo. My bad. Yes. If you said 5MIL, I would have read that as 5MIL and not 5KK. Because KK is like something that my mom would do when she's mistyping a text to me. Just type in 5MIL. But yes, no. Sorry, I wasn't taking you even remotely seriously because you said 5KK. I was like, that's not a fucking thing. Come on. We've been around longer than that. What are you, some kind of creationist? Thinks the world's 3,000 years old and God placed us all here by hand and weeps every single time we wank off? Yeah, sure. Body shaming twat. Congratulations, you live here now. Feel bad about your body. What? God seems like a dick. Fork indeed. Isn't it? What even is that emote? Is it vote? It's YEA, yeah. Not. Wait, what? Oh, the V is capitalized on it. That's what you screwed up. I was like, what'd you do wrong there? I was confused. Who's depressed? Saigon. Well, I mean, you did show up pretty depressed. But yeah, no, there's a lot of unspoken foretime in that 5 million years. And when I say, like, I think that we were intelligent before and we just don't remember, I very much mean, like, pre-feudal society. You know, getting to a point where we were building things, we were talking. and it was completely wiped out. There was at some point there was a reset. And that's fascinating to think about. I just like thinking about stuff like that. It entertains me. And I need things that entertain me right now. And there's definitely multiple spaces of thousands of years where we certainly have blank spots. Like, did we build cars and guns? I doubt it. I doubt it. But, did we have some form of functional society that we don't have any knowledge or recollection of? Wouldn't shock me. What's the goal? So it's still the same goal. We're trying to reclaim the fortress of Dive Earth with the Skunk Lord Bobette in charge. We had another fort that had a very similar goal. The same goal, in fact. But it died to a loyalty cascade, which was rather unfortunate. Lost a lot of dwarves, and so we went and made this fortress. Same goal. Still to murder the baddies, make them go bye-bye. But that'll be difficult. But that's why we're training up a very large army of everybody. So. No, totally. And I have a feeling that, well, I mean, not just a feeling, this is fact, that every single ice age we lost a lot of technology, and a lot of communication and ability to function as in societies, but I don't know. There is enough weird unexplained things on Earth that I look at it and go, I bet you we did that. We just have no recollection or history of it for obvious reasons. I mean, we have almost no written records of the Dark Ages. That's why it's so fucking fascinating. It's like, what the hell were we doing? You know? What the heck was going on then? We'll probably never know, realistically, unless time travel's ever discovered or we find an alternate dimension where Earth is still in the Dark Ages. We'll probably never know. And that is kind of amazing. Like, for such a young species, we know so little about ourselves. Like, in the grand scheme of space-time, like, we know almost nothing. And many people are still convinced of, in sweet ignorance of creation myths and other scientifically strange belief systems. Hi, New. I'm streamer. Yeah, that's fine. If you, if you don't know how the ticket system works, exclamation point tickets to see how many you have first. Type an exclamation point tickets and don't put a colon in front of it. Now I'm spamming the chat. Tickets. That'll tell you how many you have, and then you can invest. So I'd be willing to bet you probably don't have 280 if you're new. You're no fun, Ovsalot. You know that? You're no fun. Although you're kind of also confirming my statement. Rome, for its time, was absurdly advanced. And if Rome hadn't fallen, think about where we'd be at now. King Arthur? Yeah. The Knights of the Round Table. Well, those are more myths than legends, but... We wouldn't rediscover plumbing for a very long time. Fish dissector. Are you brave? I still need to finish filling out my military. Brave in the face of imminent danger, that ye are. Yar? Ye are. Dreams of mastering a skill. All right. Likes to brawl. Excellent. It shifted to the east for another 1,000 years? I mean, the Roman Empire fractured. So the Roman Empire fell, but chunks of it split off and became smaller empires. So, yeah, Rome fell, but also what you're saying is correct. It certainly moved east. But it's not as simple as just moving east. Sounds like things are operating in order then. Everyone's just fucking killing each other. All right, seems to be working as intended. What did you do to make them kill each other? Why'd you piss them off? Those poor dwarves. You can actually just use a miner. You can just be a miner. Very impolite. Finds obligations confining. You'll do fine. Doesn't handle stress well, eh? All right, well, I'll give you weaving. Woodcrafter, very greedy. Great. Doesn't handle stress well. Well, I'll give you the same then. Actually, no, you can have clothes making. You value friendship. You're somewhat fearful in the face of imminent danger. Weaving and clothes making. That's probably going to do me for clothing industry. Bashful. Overindulges. Rarely happy or enthusiastic. Wants to master a skill. Yep. Fish dissector, you can join the military. You're a traitor. Poor creativity. Somewhat quarrelsome, likes tumult and discord. Well, you'll be fine. No general fear of combat. You're a surgeon. Such a developed sense of optimism, she always assumes the best of two outcomes will be the one that comes to occur, and has trouble mastering fear when confronted by danger. Well... what crafts do you have? Bone carving? I'll give you stone, wood, and leather working as well. A mule foal? Cavy pup. Both of you can be slain. And a dwarf who dreams of raising a family, has a greedy streak. Why do they all have greedy streaks? It's a little annoying. Greedy dwarves just mean no money from, or lots of crafts I must make. Not a big fan, but you know, what can you do, right? It seems like it, yeah. Most of the dwarves I have greedy streaks, which means we're going to have problems with dwarves not being able to acquire things for too long. You're a bone doctor. Dreams of mastering a skill. Likes to brawl. Greed. Yeah. That is a word. Completely consumed by ambition and takes offered help and gifts without feeling She has a relentless drive and is consumed by ambition, lives a fast-paced life, enjoys the company of others, generally acts with a narrow focus on the current activity, isn't particularly curious about the world. Well, if you're consumed by ambition, join the military. 58 dwarfs. That seems to be everybody. I like how the mule was a baby mule and grew up as it was walking to me. Almost 5,000 hours. Man, you'll get that before the end of the week. Next week. I'm thinking of this as like the start of a new week. Right, we might need to dig a little deeper. Because the amount of stuff I can actually do with silver, pretty minimal. So let's do another 10 warhammers. And smelt Galena ore, another 10. Let's go another... Let's go down to layer 40. See what we dig down to. What's that? Well, we dug through what I think was quartzite. That's diorite. Yeah, that was quartzite. Does quartzite carry metals? Could dig around in the quartzite a bit. Can't remember. Didn't hit anything interesting. Do need to make me a bridge here, though. Made out of nice blocks. Turns out it was his wife. I mean, that's a pretty good reason for a dwarf to be sleeping in a dwarf's bed, is because they're married to that dwarf. It's generally a pretty good reason. Okay, so no one else quite has our address yet. We haven't hit 80 dwarves, so the goblins don't know we're here. Holy shit! The Dark Goblin Fortress of Grizzlehated. There's 6,000 dwarves, or not dwarves, goblins there? That's quite the fucking fortress. I was wondering why that thing had so much evil around it. Look at that! There's so much corruption there. I didn't realize that was such a packed fort. And most of these pits are like, oh, you know, the Dark Goblin pits of rise poison, 10, 100 maybe. Castle Nightmare is a good name. But fucking 6,000? That's a lot of goblins. The game isn't actually capable of spamming that many goblins at once, so we don't have to worry about that. The most they can spawn at once is 220, unless I remove the cap. But even then, they probably wouldn't do that. Because invaders have a maximum number of invaders that can invade, right? And by default, it's not anywhere near high enough for them to send all of their people. They could certainly send big ol' invasions with like 100 goblins, like 80 mounts, and then a bunch of trolls. They could certainly do that, which would be equally scary, but... No, I cap it by going into the files and capping it manually. I'm not using Lazy Noob Pack, and I'm not using Dwarf Therapist. I'm just playing the game. I don't use any tools or assists. So if I wanted to cap something like that, I would just go into the game's files and do it manually because I know where all the files are. Hey, Jamie. Yeah, this is complete vanilla. So if I wanted to change it, I would go to my desktop, click on my Dwarf Fortress file, go to the most recent version I have installed, click on Data, Init, D-Init, grab this, scroll down, and Invasion Soldier Cap. It's right in front of my face. Right there. 220. That's the default. Currently, our population cap is 140 with strict cap at 245. So they can send up to 220 soldiers. But the animal cap, I think, allows them to bring more mounts than that. So. No, I don't use DF Therapist for anything. My leg is itchy. But how's things today, Jamie? It's a dwarf with a crown in their bedroom. It's because they don't have a coffer to put it in yet. So they just put it on the ground. Which they might not mind if they're a messy dwarf, but they might care if it's a messy dwarf. Or a cleanly dwarf that likes to be organized and neat. I mean, everything that you can do in Lazy Noob Pack can be done by just editing a file. Like, that's all it's doing. It's just editing text files that are all readily available. So there's a lot of people who have no idea how any of that stuff works, which is fair. But they assume it's like impossible to do. It's really quite simple. It's like if you've ever had I don't think that's a word. If you ever had to edit a text file to do something specific in a game, that's all it's like, really. It's like, oh, I just have to go edit this .txt file to stop my mothers from having babies because their babies are mind controlling them to death. Give you a much needed confidence boost. Every time I used to get a match on Tinder, it would generally last about as long as, wait, you don't drive? Okay, unmatched immediately. So it gave me a confidence boost until I actually speak with the human being. Ironically, I'd rather just search a text file where I know where everything is than have to click big ugly buttons. But I'm also a weirdo, so don't mind me. And I'm aware that that's not a popular opinion. But yes, it is certainly more user-friendly to not have to flip through text files. Which is something the Steam version will fix. I hope. To me, it just gives me the warm and fuzzies because it reminds me of the good old days of PC game modding, you know? Deleted it both times? You did good. You shouldn't reinstall it. It's a shitty app. Because a guy is near impossible? It's because all the girls cheat. They use filters. Tend to not inform them. Well, it's a, well, when can you pick me up? I can meet you somewhere? Wait, do you not drive? Besides, I I don't think window shopping for humans I can't afford is necessarily a good habit to have anymore. Goats has given birth to a girl. You know, how is Goats doing? No longer depressed. Fucking fantasticals. And now you also have your own shield in the form of your new child. Congratulations, Goats. Covers your face a little. It's part of the hatred I have for it now. It's all just part of my general distaste for social media. Those apps are a problem. Should be fucking outlawed. Then I don't want to live in this future, Jamie. Post a link to what, Dragonman? Are you asking if you can post a link? Of course you can post a link. If you're asking me to post a link, I don't know what link you're referring to for me to post. What am I looking at? I'm confused. Why are you posting pictures of whatever Spear Breakers is? Creature from Dwarf Fortress that somebody made? Oh, it's a night creature. Ah, fair enough. Yeah, I've actually had that happen. Someone get possessed by an ancient demon. Yeah. I've had that happen. I had a ghost possess one of my military dwarves and throw them into a blind rage and murdered a whole bunch of dwarves. It's a good time. Though in the programs I make, it doesn't matter too much if the stuff is just coded in the source. Wait, what? I'm not... Wait, are you claiming editing text files to make games work is a bad habit? I think that that's a good habit. Yes, but I'm familiar with what you're talking about. I'm just not sure how it is relevant to anything that we're talking about. That's all. But yeah, no, I'm pretty much fucking done with having to communicate with people digitally. As somebody who makes his living on the internet and is always plugged into this shit and knows way too much about social media and how social media works and knows how to contort algorithms in his favor, I don't want that anywhere near any dating or meeting people. It's so false. Like, we had this almost exact same conversation the other day, and, you know, maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but I don't see it working for society. People are all looking for unrealistic things that they can't obtain. Perfect people. Unfortunately, perfect people don't exist. And when you're even remotely imperfect, you're fucked on the get-go. At the end of the day, those apps need to make money, and they make money by scraping information and figuring out your preferences. And I hate it. No choice? Well, that's the most fucking depressing thing you could ever say. And I feel so sorry for you. Yeah, no, that genuinely makes me sad. And I hope one day you come to and realize that that's not a way to live. Esmil the peasant has been possessed. Did you not have a job? Oh, you're in a squad. Squad not active? No, it is. Why did it... Why are you still a peasant then? Claims a craft store shop? Well, then I'm fucked for the get-go. If you think the times are changing, fair enough. If you think the times are changing and that's the only way to go, we'll look like Death Stranding and Kojima will be right. Everybody will be asexual, nobody will ever meet anybody, and everybody will be too afraid to speak to anybody because they have unrealistic expectations. Please change the subject, Jamie, because you make me question my will to live. I don't want to talk about this shit. Maybe you look at that and you go, this is totally fine. I look at that and I go, I don't want to live in this world anymore. I ain't knocking shit. But if everybody's ace, then there's no more people. We all die. Because nobody fucks. How did my tavern turn out? Well, it's kind of a triple usage room. We have the Tragic Abbey, which is an allegory for my life. The Library of Construction and the Laborious Nut, our tavern. You know what, chat? I'm clearly in way too poor of a mood to stream today. So I'm going to call it a short stream today. I was kind of planning on doing that from the start, but a little shorter than I intended. You guys live in the world you want to live in. It's not a world I want to live in. Luckily, most of the smoke has dissipated due to the recent rains. So we're now down to an AQI of like 22 or something. It's much more tolerable. But yeah, I mean, you might be okay with living in that world. I mean, in a world where it was 273 days ago, 22 is pretty okay. So yikes your fucking self.